Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Devil's Latest Issue podcast. I'm your host, I'm Mr. Vegas. I'm joined as always by my wonderful co-host, Mr. Fatman T.
Hello, my sweet children.
Yes, it is. It's a Friday today?
It is a Friday, yes.
It's Friday. We're back. It's a Friday. It feels like a Friday. And you know why it feels like a Friday? Because it is a Friday, that's why. So, a beautiful day here in the studio. But let me ask you, Mr. Fatman T. Let me ask you an important question before we get into the proceedings this evening. Would you like to hear about what I got up to today in Kingdom Come Deliverance?
I would, but first, which one would you like?
I will have
That's a new one, because I did that one last week.
I don't like those. I'll take. I'll have the barbecue option. That sounds quite nice now. I'll have the barbecue option.
Barbecue option.
Yeah.
Salad and a new salad.
Go on. We'll be good. We'll have salad this week. Go on, man.
This week.
Yes.
There we go.
So let me tell you what happened to me in Kingdom Come Deliverance today, right?
Okay. Oh, yes.
So, I was investigating what can only be described as a horse genocide, right?
Right.
A horse farm got attacked by a group of raiders, right? Said raiders, rather than stealing anything, just murdered the horses, right? So I tracked down one of the cunts that's involved, right? A guy called Limpy, right? You know why he's called Limpy?
Why?
Because he's got a limp, and this is medieval fucking Germany. So we track down Limpy, right? Track that cunt down, get to his house, right? The bailiff's at the front door, there's about 40 cunts gathered, right? Something's no right. So we rock up, well, lo and behold, Limpy's fucking dead. Right? Limpy's dead as a doornail, right? Limpy's intestine is touching his dick tip, right? It's no a good situation overall for poor Limpy. Right, so I inquire with the bailiff, right? I tell him, you know, I'm here working for fucking Sir Radzig Kobyli, right? Fucking, how can I help, right? So I get sent to investigate this cunt's murder, right? So I'm now investigating 2 crimes in one go, right? So we ask around a few cunts, right?
Yeah.
We find out via a black book, right, that Limpy had a friend that lives in a nearby village. So we go to said nearby village, right? We talk to his friend, right? We find him hiding in the woods because his dad sold him out for 20 groschen, right? We find the guy in the woods, right? And we're like, right, cunt, what occurred, right? So he explains what the fuck occurred, right? The plan was they were going to go to the horse farm, steal a bunch of shit, and it was all going to be hunky-dunky. Unfortunately, the second half of the crew decided, nah, fuck it, we're just going to kill shit. And now that half of the crew is tracking down the first half of the crew who didn't want to do all the murdering, and is murdering them. So then we get ambushed by 4 cunts from that other half of the gang, right? So we fight them off, right? It's a simple fight, because I'm wearing like all plate mail, we're good, right? Get that dealt with, right? And during said fight, most of my plate mail armor got broken, right? That's an important detail. My armor was broken. So I make my way, right? I get sent to go find a third guy, right? So I go find the third guy, right? Well, more actually, I find his sister, right? And his sister's like, I'll tell you where he is if you promise you're not going to kill him. I'm like, I promise I probably won't kill him, right? Then 4 bandits turn up. Now, there's one of me, and I'm wearing a long coat, and I'm wielding a saber.
Yeah.
There's 4 bandits in plate mail. Well, we're not winning that fight, are we? But we had a damn good attempt, and then we died. So we reloaded the save, right? So I try and talk my way out of it. That didn't work, right? Can I run away? No, I can't run away. They keep punching my horse, which causes my horse to throw me off, right? So I sell out man number 4 to the bandits for 200 groschen, right? Which, if you ask me, is a fair deal, right? Fuck honor and liberty. He killed horses. He deserved it, right? So we sell that guy out, like, immediately, right? With the idea of the deal was with the bandit, right? Was we tell him where to find the guy he's looking for, right? He gives me money now, and then I'll meet him at a tavern later, and he'll tell me where the rest of his cronies are, right? With the idea being I'll fucking infiltrate the gang, figure out where they're camping, learn everything about their camp, go tell Sir Radzig, and we'll fuck him up, right? It'd be great. The fucker didn't turn up to the tavern. Never turned up. So that was a dead end, right? So I scoured the wilderness for 4 in-game days, right? And I stumbled upon an abandoned village. Lo and behold, that abandoned village is their camp. Only it's not just bandits living in this village, in this camp. There's also a bunch of human soldiers. That's a fucking problem, right? So I go back to Sir Radzig, right? I tell Sir Radzig, I'm like, right, cunts are over there, there's a bunch of humans and shit, let's go get them. And then he's like, right, what can you tell me about the place? Fuck! So I get sent back into the forest, right, to go scout the place out, right, try count cunts, figure out the terrain, all that pish, right? I do that, I go back, I tell Sir fucking Radzig all fucking info, right? Get the dudes together, right? We go, we siege it down, I've still not had the chance to go visit an armor smith to get my armor fixed. So I'm entering this battle wearing essentially a long tunic, a pair of ratty boots, and a saber. Mm-hmm. That's what I have to live with in a major siege battle. Oh, and a bow and arrow, just to help a little bit, right? Well, at least it would help if I was good at archery in Kingdom Come Deliverance, which I'm not, because it's a bitch to aim in that game. So, we turn up, right? I kill a couple of bandits. One of the bandits drops a very nice sword. So I steal his sword, because it's very nice. Right? We kill a few more cunts. Right? By what feels like the end of the battle, I have managed to slowly scavenge a brand new set of plate armor by killing bandits, right? Or more accurately, most of the plate mail I found, I basically watched another soldier kill a bandit, and then I came in and looted the corpse when he wasn't looking, and escarpered with the plate mail, right? Which I was doing out of selfishness. But it turned out to be fucking crucial to do this. Mm-hmm. Because just when I thought the battle was over, a cutscene played, right? And we find the bandit, in the cutscene, I see the bandit captain, bandit chief man, right? And it's the guy that fucked me earlier in the game who stole Sir Radzig's sword off me, right? Mm-hmm. So I chased the fucker down, right? We chase him down, and the game loads you into a boss fight against this motherfucker.
Epic battle ensues.
Oh yeah, you're like in like the loft of a granary or some shit, right? Like an abandoned granary, and like you're in a sword fight, and it's kind of cool, right? But it's also a bastard. Because I've spent precisely 10 minutes training sword up to this point, in terms of like official lessons. You get like an official lesson right at the start of the game, then you get an extra one, so like 2 hours after that, and then I paid for the third one a couple hours after that. Now by this stage in the game, you're supposed to be about level 30 with a sword. I'm level 4.
Oh god.
With a sword, with an overall character level of level 6. You meant to be about level 12 for this fight.
So you know it.
It's a smidge difficult. Happily, because I'm decked out in plate mail and chainmail, I'm basically a god. So, we have a bit of a tussle, right? And I basically, with my sexy sword I stole from one of his friends, I just kind of go for like an uppercut slash. And the fucker dodges it, and then I accidentally hit attack a second time. And my character by default kind of came up with the uppercut, swung it back around and came down.
Oh.
And cleaved him clean in the fucking skull. And then my screen went black and I went, oh, I think the game crashed. I think I did a little too much damage in one hit. Then it loads a cutscene again, right? Where I kick the shit out of the bandit, right? He falls on the ground. We're interrogating him, because where the fuck's the sword, motherfucker? You stole my sword, where's my fucking sword? I want my fucking sword. Bandit's not saying shit about the sword. So the main character, Henry, have I mentioned before you play as a cunt called Henry?
Yes.
Well, you play as Henry, right? He loses the temper a little bit. And he grabs the bandit by the back of his bald head and bashes his fucking face in against like a fucking support beam of this roof. It's beautiful. Just guy's dead, right? Then Sir Radzig turns up behind you, right? This motherfucker teleports, right? It's incredible, right? Turns up behind you. Gives you a brief lecture of, you know, if you hadn't killed him, we could have interrogated that motherfucker and got way more info. But shit happens in battle, fuck it, you'd be fine, right?
Tempers flare, you know.
Exactly, tempers flare in the heat of battle, who gives a fuck? Either way, you've killed like 5 cunts, that's pretty impressive for a first battle. And you've killed this guy single-handedly, and he's like double your height, fucking well played. You know, so I'm like, thank you, Sir Radzig.
Now, where's my fucking sword?
Yeah, where's your fucking sword? You know, like, because Sir Radzig, this is the best part about this plot. Guess how many people give a shit about this sword?
0.
Only you. Only your character gives a fuck about. Like, Sir Radzig has bigger problems, right? Sir Radzig's had his city burnt down. He's lost his castle. I'm pretty sure his wife is dead because she hasn't been seen since the start of the game.
Or at least having an affair.
You know, like, like if you fuck around in Skalitz a little bit to start the game, you can meet his wife, and then she never turns up again. I think she died, right? I think she gets killed in that siege, right? So with assuming he lost his wife, right? He doesn't even have fucking kids. He's in a shit ton of debt with one of his friends. The guy's got bigger priorities than I had a sword stolen, right? Like, guy's got bigger shit to worry about. Meanwhile, you, Henry, only give a shit about this sword for 2 reasons. Reason 1, you promised you'd deliver it to Sir Radzig. Reason 2, it was the last sword your father ever made. But literally no one else could care less about this sword but your character, and it's kind of funny, actually.
The problem, when you think about it though, a lot of good revenge movies and like games revolve around that aspect of nobody gives a fuck what you're upset about.
Oh, it's not even the main revenge plot of the game. It's a secondary revenge plot is finding this fucking sword. The main revenge plot is tracking down the fucking human general who killed your parents.
You know, because
10 hours before you had the sword stolen. And you solved the sword theft first. It's some bullshit.
Because think about it, look at John Wick.
Yes.
As a concept of movie. Essentially, it's about a guy overreacting about his dog being killed.
Yes.
Right? But yet, no, what's like, I killed a dog. You killed a dog, fair enough. Yeah, it was John Wick's dog. Fuck!
Dumb motherfucker. God damn it, son of a bitch. Like, the difference is though, is in John Wick is a trained killing machine.
Yeah.
In Kingdom Come Deliverance, you are the son of a blacksmith. You don't know how to use a sword. You can't read. You're illiterate. You can't read and write. You can barely walk. You can't hold your liquor. Like, one shot of save your schnapps, which is basically appetizer, and you're fucked. That's great fun. Especially when, you know, you need to drink save your schnapps to save the fucking game. Right? So saving the game gets you drunk. Great fun. Right? Fucking... like, you're not the main character whatsoever.
Yeah.
But for some reason, you're the main character of this entire war. And I suspect I've sussed out why. I think Sir Radzig might secretly be your dad in the game. Because all I'm saying is, like, especially like right near the start of the game, you fuck a lot of shit up hard way. And somehow this leads to you being promoted to being a guard by Sir Radzig. You be a guard for a couple of days. Then, like, that horse raid happens. You report to Sir Radzig, hey, we've, like, this Limpy guy, I need to go get him. So he sends you to go get Limpy and then promotes you to his personal service. Two weeks before that, you were the apprentice to his blacksmith.
Yeah. I don't know if you look at many of history as a whole, there's a lot of that kind of, like, I found this random peasant on the street. I'm going to hire him. Oh, he just looks mildly impressive. I'm going to promote him. He just looks mildly impressive. Well, good on me, I'll promote him again. It's like, somehow this street urchin who, no, that's the fuck all.
Still.
Somehow becomes a friggin' knight of the noble title for no other reason than the fact that he didn't die.
Still, the speed at which I'm being promoted through the ranks has me suspicious of Sir Radzig.
No, honestly, even in medieval history, I mean, there's a famous one of it was technically a baron without a title. It was called. It's a non-landowning barons.
Yes.
And he started off at the age of 12 as a urchin. Right, it's actually a true story written down.
Yeah.
This king apparently found him, took him into his care. You know, as I think it was a shoe shiner at the time. Something daft like that. So he works there for a bit. The carriage the king's travelling gets attacked. The urchin somehow gets a knife and stabs one of the bandits in the throat. You know, so he gets promoted to a squire in training
Yeah.
type thing under one of the other knights.
Now, see, this is the thing, right? That series of promotions makes perfect sense, right? Shoe shiner kills a bandit, squire in training. I can follow that fucking process.
Oh,
Right?
no, hang on.
That promotion process makes sense, and that's as far as I'm letting you go for this, right? Because I'm assuming that was probably a couple months of a
No.
gap there, right?
No.
Maybe even a couple weeks of. He was a shoe shiner for a couple weeks. Then the bandit thing happened, and he became a squire in training. 3 weeks.
3 days.
3 days. Okay, right. Well, go on to about the 2-week mark of this story.
Well, the 2-week mark as a squire in training, right? He's out with he's like in the group of knights doing the training.
Yeah.
They get ambushed.
Yep.
The knight captain gets killed.
Yep.
Well, sorry, not quite killed, but gets heavily injured. And it will die eventually. Right? This squire in training, who Barry has no combat capacity whatsoever
Yep.
by this point, carries his knight commander back and just accidentally drops his knight commander onto a bandit off a cliff.
Yeah.
Onto the leader of the bandit group of the cliff. Kills the bandit leader, but his captain survives.
Yes. Because plate mail is a miracle.
It is, yeah. So we managed to take him back to the castle, where again the king was, and the captain says, you know, he showed great gallantry. What did he do? He dropped me on the bandit.
He threw me off a cliff.
Yeah. But he allowed me to have one final victory in my dying breath. So the king promotes the urchin with no combat ability whatsoever to knight commander
Right.
at the age of 14.
Yep. See, at the very least, though, you can follow the process. You can understand how A led to B, B led to C, right? Here's what happens in the 2 weeks in Kingdom Come Deliverance, right? You wake up, right? You're the son of a blacksmith and that blacksmith's apprentice, right? You beat up a hobo who owes you money. Your entire village is burnt to the ground by Cumans, right? You rock up to a different city to warn them, hey, the Cumans are coming. You are then robbed by a bandit, right? Because you go back to Skalitz to try bury your parents because you're a moron, right? You get your ass rescued by a knight and a woman and a group of other soldiers, right? These two groups have no correlation to one another whatsoever, right? So you're rescued by these two fuckers, right? You're then taken to a city called the Rate, right? You rock up to the castle, right? Shit beaten out of you, heavily in debt to the miller whose daughter it was that rescued you. Right? You rock up, right? You talk to the guard, you demand an audience with your lord, Sir Radzig. Somehow that works, right? Despite you looking like shit, that fucking works, right? You go talk to Sir Radzig. Sir Radzig, another lord and fucking a little dweeb cunt that you grow to love somehow, despite the fact he's a prick, basically berate the shit out of you for 20 minutes for being fucking useless. Then you're immediately promoted to a guard. Because you ask very nicely, please Sir Radzig, let me serve you. So he immediately pawns you off to the other lord whose city he's currently staying in. And he puts you in the guard garrison and makes you his captain's problem because no one wants to deal with you. Right? You have one lesson of sword training and investigate a horse massacre. You are then, after investigating half of the horse massacre, immediately promoted to Lord Radzig's personal command. You go from Chucklefuck Guard... No, there you You go from Chucklefuck Blacksmith to Chucklefuck Guard to a vassal huscarl in 2 weeks.
You know, it's a funny thing about medieval history.
Bear in mind, by the way, during these 2 weeks, you were ambushed by approximately 18 different bandit groups.
Yeah.
Not individual bandits, groups of bandits, and that doesn't count the Cuman mercenaries who will ambush you. If we count them, you're gonna get ambushed about 35 times in these 2 weeks. Oh, and did I mention by this point in the game, you're gonna have a grand total of fuck all armor. You're gonna have a gambeson, some pants, boots, maybe a kettle helm if you're lucky, and a piece of shit sword you haven't sharpened in a week and a half because you've been too busy twatting bandits with it like it's a fucking rhythm stick.
The funny thing about history is it's one of those weird things I learned when I was getting into blacksmithing, and particularly bladesmithing thing, is a bladesmith, blacksmith particularly more specialised in blades, was not allowed to be given a noble title
Correct.
by any king or lord. The best he could get as a title is a divine blacksmith or blacksmith of the cross,
Yes.
which was given up by the church at the time.
Yes.
Do you know why that rule was put in place?
Not a fucking clue.
It's a stupid rule, but also make quite sense. Because the blacksmith skill, because the king needs a blacksmith.
Yes.
If a blacksmith comes a lord
Yep.
through reputation and ability, he's then no longer compelled to make weaponry. So one thing you always need in medieval times is armor and swords.
Yes.
So the rules put in so he couldn't be promoted into a noble title, so it forced him to keep making weaponry. But it came with a caveat, is that no noble could the noble apart from the lord of the land could order him around what to do, which essentially made him a noble in right.
Yes.
Because it even came down to I think there's a story where a duke tried to order the blacksmith to do something, and he blatantly refused.
Yeah.
The duke brought him out, flogged him, and was going to kill him for insulting royalty. The king rocked up, because he had to if anything the duke was involved with, and basically went, "What the fuck do you think you're doing?" And then imprisoned the duke for 10 years for daring to touch the best blacksmith in the kingdom.
As you should.
And then played the blacksmith quite handsomely, and then moved him into a larger estate free of charge with land.
Oh, speaking of land, that reminds me. Do you know what your reward is for killing that bandit chief, by the way?
What's that?
You get your own private room in the castle.
Oh, that's actually, to be honest,
In the castle, like not like in the castle, but in the the castle building.
yeah.
Got the Bailey wall, right? There's a little shack with there's there's like a dividing wall between two rooms. You get one of those. You basically get a shack at the front door of the castle, halfway between the gate of the castle and the front door of the castle.
You gotta think though.
You are 15 steps from 3 of the most powerful people in the land at all fucking times. That's where you get to live from there on out.
As I said, that's quite an extravagant gift to a.
It's got 4 walls, a thatch roof, and a dirt floor. It's not that fucking extravagant. It's a single room with a bed, right? It's not brilliant, but also you're 15 steps from the 3 most powerful men
That's what
in
I'm
the
saying.
city.
It's one of those rewards that, on its face, sounds like shit because it's basically a shed.
Yes.
But we think
Also, you're in the most heavily defended part of the city.
Yep.
You're 15 steps from the 3 most powerful men in the capital, all of whom kinda like you for some fucking reason.
Yeah, it's one of those things. This is my peasant friend John.
Yes.
He's lived with us now. He's like, oh right.
This is the thing, there's 4 cunts that live in this city in terms of like nobility, right? That are like of note, okay? No, well, 5, right? It's 5 cunts, right? You've got the lady of the city, right? Whose name escapes me, right? For some reason, she likes you. For some ungodly reason. To the extent that there's a quest in the game where she sends you instead of her chamberlain to pick out gifts for her cousin's wedding.
Okay.
That's an entire quest in this fucking game, by the way, right? So she likes you. Low-key, I think she wants to fuck you. It's beautiful, right?
Probably.
There's her husband, Lord Divish, who kinda likes you, kinda doesn't like you. It's complicated.
Yeah, 'cause his wife fancies your ass.
Yeah, like he's kinda fine with you, kinda not fine with you. It's weird, right? You have another lord, who's a bit of a dick, right? He's in charge of this city because the lord who is supposed to run the city isn't an adult yet, and the king's a bit too busy to come decide if he's an adult or not, right? So this guy's kind of in charge for a bit.
Lord
right?
Regent.
Basically, yes, right?
Enough.
He's kind of chill with you, right? There's your lord, Sir Radzig, who's staying here temporarily because his city got burnt to the fucking ground, right? For some reason, he adores you. It makes no sense that he likes the main character, but he loves the main character. It's suspicious. I think he's secretly the dad. And then, you have the previously mentioned young lord, who's, I'm going to guess, about 19 years old. He looks about 19-ish, right? And is a massive fucking bellend. Okay, gigantic bellend, right? And he respects the shit out of you for one reason, right? You and him end up in a bar fight, right? This is while you're a guard. You end up in a bar fight. As punishment, he has to take you with him to go hunting, right? You're out hunting in the woods, right? He sees a boar. So he rides off on his horse to chase down the boar. You have to follow him without a horse, right? You track the guy down. His horse is missing and there's no sign of a boar. Because somewhere between him fucking off to get the boar and you finding him, a group of cumans knocked him off his horse and have kidnapped him. So you now have to fight two heavily armed cumans with a stick. Well, a sword that might as well just be a fucking stick, right? You beat the shit out of those two with your stick, right? Kill them dead with your beating stick. It's beautiful. Naturally steal their shit. This is where I got the saber I used for most of the game so far. Was this mission. You loot their bodies, you cut him free. Because you rescued his ass, he now adores you as a best friend. Bear in mind, 32 hours before this, you were punching the fuck out of each other in a bar brawl.
That's a men bond.
Still, right? You then help his injured, kidnapped ass limp back to town, right? Bear in mind, from the perspective of all the lords, right? You had a fight with each other, you disappeared into the woods for a day and a half alone, and you're now carrying the half-broken body of the lord you were in a fight with. Now, if I was a medieval lord and this scenario happened, I'd fucking execute that guy on principle.
Yeah.
But no, for some reason all the lords hear you the fuck out somehow. You explain what happened and they believe you. They just take your word for it, because Numbnuts is unconscious and so heavily concussed he can't really tell what happened to anyone yet. And then 2 days later he wakes the fuck up, corroborates your story, at which point it would be too late if you were lying, because you're already 35 miles away solving a horse massacre. By the time his ass wakes up, you're 3 villages away solving a horse massacre. So if you'd lied your ass off and you had fucking beat the shit out of it, what they gonna do about it now?
And I watched that movie.
Like, you're 3 fucking villages away. What would they do about it now?
So, let's go to the...
Like, don't even put me in the stockade. Wait 3 fucking days. Nah, fuck you. We'll trust the blacksmith who beat the shit out of him 2 days ago.
Yeah. Excuse me.
Like, I'm not gonna lie. I think I might be on the fucking humans fucking side of this war. The lords that I serve under are fucking dumbasses.
No one's weird all the time, though.
Not this level of stupid.
Yeah.
No one in a position of power is believe the blacksmith who beat the shit out of this lord 2 days ago about what happened to this lord while they were alone in the woods.
You'd be surprised at the nepotism among medieval Europe of, like, lords in power. It's like, you know, I'm the lord, where I say it goes. You know, it's like, yes, lord, but please think rationally about this. No, I fully agree. You know, turning that river into a sanctuary for water nymphs and I will try and sex them up is a good idea. Okay, Chimlin.
That makes more sense than just believing a blacksmith who beat the shit out of a lord,
you know,
that they didn't beat the shit out of the lord a second time.
You know, then he's friend to go to another one is hire a lot of hookers, get them dressed nakedish in the water. That will work.
Like, it doesn't, the game doesn't make a lot of fucking sense if you ask me. Like, a lot of it is very historically accurate. Like, you're involved in, like most of the, like, large main quests are actual historical events that happened. And you're just there and it's really cool. But then there's, like, little details like that of, I beat the shit out of this guy 2 days ago. Why are you believing me when I say humans beat the shit out of him? Like, why am I not in jail?
Well,
I should be in jail by default.
Say Assassin's Creed. Assassin's Creed games.
No, Assassin's Creed makes more fucking sense. Ain't no one believing you in Assassin's Creed in that scenario.
No, in Assassin's Creed though, It's something that the game sets up, where this game works, is essentially you take part in true historical events-ish.
Yes, that are kind of modified.
Slightly modified, and the only thing really different is scrambling that there's suddenly a random ass master assassin just walking cutting about the streets and no one cares.
Mm-hmm. The difference is, like, with Kingdom Come Deliverance, you actually have to integrate into medieval society, or you just get your shit rocked all the time.
Yeah.
Like, if you get caught stealing, you were murdered. It's great. Like, if a guy catches you stealing, he calls the guards. The guards come over and go, right, con, put it back, or I'm gonna stab you. And if you put it back, you pay a small fine.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't put it back, they kill you dead. They just kill you. The guard kills you, the guy you robbed from gets involved, his wife gets involved, and a drunk from round the corner comes to get involved. And while all those guys are having a pop, 6 more guards are coming around the corner to come kill you too, just in case. Right? Like, if you shit talk a lord, you get your shit rocked. It's like there's so many like dialogue options in the game. Like, you'll be talking to a lord, and like, because like I'm Scottish and I think I'm funny, there's like little like, you know, like jokey insult options where you can be like, you're a dickhead. And just like, on instinct, I pick them every time. The amount of times that's led to me getting my shit rocked by a lord. Because like, it's like my second time meeting this lord, and they're like, oh hey, how you doing? It's like, hey, how it do, cunt? And then I just get bitch slapped by a chamberlain, like, watch your fucking tongue, boy. And it's like, I'm sorry, I thought we were chill. And it's like, no, you've met this lord twice, you're not fucking chill. You are a peasant, don't you dare. Like, it's really fun. I'm enjoying the shit out of this game. I forgot how good Kingdom Come was.
For a non-fantasy style game, it's surprising how popular it became, to be honest.
Honestly, I disagree. Like, it makes perfect sense it became as popular as it is. You know, like, it's got really solid sword combat, which is what helped it get its popularity, was its combat system is...
Yeah.
Like, it's realistic, it's brutal, but it's fair. Like, you never get your shit rocked in a fight and feel like it wasn't your fault.
Yeah,
you never get your shit rocked and go, it's cheating. You get your shit rocked and go, I know what I fucked up there. That was my fault. You know.
Probably the game that Kingdom Come Deliverance and like For Honor, I think they appeal to the niche market of the Souls players, where
For Honor, yes, definitely is like that, but like I don't think Kingdom Come is like with the Souls market. You know, like, because like unlike in Dark Souls, there's shit you can do that does make the combat easier. Like if you have like a loose understanding of how like armor versus weaponry worked in like medieval times,
yeah,
you're at a major advantage over the game. Like if you know like the fight you're about to go into, like you're going up against a bunch of bandits who mostly have swords and no blunt weaponry, and you rock up in full plate mail, you're basically wearing powered armor in that fight. You're unkillable to them. Whereas if you know the battle you're about to go into has a bunch of dudes in plate mail, it doesn't matter what armor you're wearing, you rock up with a fucking warhammer,
yeah,
and you just bonk motherfuckers in the head. You know, and just bonk, dead, bonk.
yeah, because I still love movies.
Bonk. You know, you win.
I still love movies. They say we watch the scene where you see a guy slice a clean in half when plate mail with a sword. Like, that would never happen in a million.
Oh no, that is absolutely an option in the game. You can absolutely fight a dude in full plate mail with a sword, but it's gonna fuck your sword up.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that sword's gonna break like 10 minutes into that fight.
That's what I'm saying.
And like the odds of you like hitting him in a way that's actually gonna cut him is so unlikely. Because that's what you're aiming for in like a fight in Kingdom Come Deliverance, is you're not necessarily aiming to land a killing blow. You're more aiming to cut him bad enough that he bleeds out during the fight.
Yeah, it's a battle of maiming rather than battle of killing.
Pretty much, it's kind of like, you know, like you're kind of, at least the way I play is I play quite defensive of like, wait for him to attack, block, okay, and then boop. Okay, now wait, block, boop.
Yeah.
And it's just a game of like, okay, where have you got the least amount of armor? Where can I fuck you up? Oh, you're not wearing a helmet. Okay, block, bonk in the head. Right, did that cut him? No. Right. Okay. Fuck. Block. Boop. Okay, that cutted him. Right. Now all I have to do is not get hit for 5 minutes, and he'll bleed to death.
Yeah.
Okay. Swing. Block.
Like one of
Swing.
those,
Block.
one of those things,
Swing. And he's dead. Yeah.
one thing I do love, like, in movies, they see people getting full plate mail, cut about with shields. Like, no, they wouldn't.
To be fair, like, you say like a dude in full plate mail wouldn't bother with a shield.
Usually not.
There's a lot of historical evidence to say that, like, even if you were wearing full plate, you could walk about with a shield.
You
Especially like in Europe, medieval Europe, there was a lot of that shit going on. Of, yeah, I'm basically unkillable, but I mean,
Yeah.
there's no such thing as too unkillable in warfare,
in
is there?
that scenario, you only have a kite shield, and what you found was one of the edges was sharpened
Yeah.
to give you a secondary weapon. And the idea was they brought the sword and bring this piece of sharpened metal down into their face.
Yes.
You know, the sword became more of a shield than your fucking shield was. You know, it was all kind of weird scenario. Like, is that supposed to protect you? Yes, but it's heavy
Yes.
and pointed. You know, it's one of those stupid things you learn like in the HEMA manuals.
Yeah. To be fair, I do find myself disagreeing a lot with a lot of the HEMA manuals.
The problem with the HEMA manuals.
There's a lot of HEMA manuals where, like, I read a technique and I go, nah, that's just horseshit. Like, nah, no one broke that out in a battlefield. I'm sorry, you wouldn't have the time or space to do that in the heat of battle. Like, nah.
That's the problem with the
Like, no one did that. Fuck off.
The problem with the HEMA manuals, right?
Now, would that work? Probably. Did anyone try? Fuck no. No one had the time to try that.
Right. The problem with the HEMA manuals is all the manuals we have come from only two sources.
Yes.
One is the French manual of gentlemanly warfare, I think it's called,
Yes.
and the other one is the sparring dueling manual.
Yes.
And again, I think it's at the floor. To be honest with you, there.
Probably. It's fine. I'll just use a different one.
Right? Is both those manuals are designed for dueling fights and competition fights, not for actual like campaign, large-scale campaign combat.
Yes.
Because let's be honest, in large-scale campaign combat, swords were not really part of the whole scenario. It was spears and hammers for the most part.
I don't know. We have a lot of like tapestries and artistic depictions of battles that were made around the time said battle occurred that would lead me to disagree with you. I mean, you have that entire ass tapestry that's just the entire battle of fucking like Charlemagne, where like you got like every cunt has a sword.
Yes, but the archaeological evidence of that battle is mostly spears, archers, and warhammers. Actually,
Still, I feel like there were probably swords.
Don't
I
get
feel
me
like a lot of cunts were still probably there with some swords.
no, because you got to think though, cost versus usefulness. Right. Remember, 90% of a medieval army is made up of peasantry. You walk to a village, go, you, and you, follow me now. Right? So they have next to no combat experience with swords.
Yeah.
Plus, swords are very expensive back then still. Whereas a spear is cheap as fuck. And to train the peasant who's used to having a pitchfork or a hoe type thing, how to use a spear, takes you about 3 days. To teach them how to be competent using a sword takes you about 3 years.
Nah, I could train a peasant up to be good with a sword in about 3 days. Like, realistically, a sword is not complicated. It is swing and pull at the same time. It's not rocket science. Swing towards, pull away. It's not a hard process. Swing in, make contact, pull. Like, no, swing. It's not, you know, like getting that trained into them. 6 hours? Tops? The rest of the time is just like training the defensive work of, and this is how you fucking block that bullshit. You know, ding, ding, ding. If I swing this way, you go that way. There you go. Like, realistically, it ain't that fucking complicated. Don't you dare bite me.
Food.
I'm glad that wasn't still lit. People at home, I put a cigarette behind my ear, but the ear that my hair was draped over. I'm very glad said cigarette had gone out before I did that, or I would be on fire.
Right.
Yes, our mid-show food has arrived. You see, this is what's happening here.
This is your burger.
Presumably.
Oh, that is one of the two.
This one's my burger. Or really, a burger. Will be 2 seconds here. We're unwrapping food. Bear with us. Okay, that one's just a box of salad.
This is salad for your burger.
The salad's on the burger. There's already salad on it. Why would they just give me a box of salad? What sense does that make?
So, anyway, to the main point of the show is one about top 5 movies we have.
Yes.
And that.
As requested last night by a viewer.
Yes. So, I just mentioned last night. Right, one I'm going to go with first off is Ghost in the Shell. And that. It's like my first one.
A solid pick. We're doing like, is that like your number 1 pick or your number 5 pick?
Probably number 1.
Probably your number 1 pick?
Yeah.
Like we do like our like start at the best, work our way down?
Yes.
Alright. My number 1 pick, so I'd like I said last night, I've heard about Ghost in the Shell. I've heard some good things. I've never sat and watched it, so I don't really have a conversation to jump off from with that. My number 1 pick, my number 1 favorite movie of all time forever. The very first How to Train Your Dragon, the animated one. Like, it is. I will argue it is the single greatest piece of like Western animation so far. Like, it's the best one we have. You know, like, it's a masterclass in storytelling. It's a masterclass in fucking animation. You know, like, it's a masterclass in how to take inspiration from a culture, adapt that culture, and put your own spin on it without being disrespectful to that culture. Like,
Yeah.
you know, it's especially a masterclass in how to make just fucking a fantastic soundtrack to emphasize a story for a movie. There's not a part of that movie I can say was wrong. Like, every bit of it is just fucking perfect.
And it did portray that the so-called hero arc quite well. And that.
It is an excellent hero arc.
Yo,
I argue, like, unlike most hero arcs, it isn't like our classic, like, unskilled, courageous young boy
yeah.
becomes a well-skilled, courageous man. It's cowardly, unskilled, piece of shit little kid becomes a slightly braver, more confident young man by raising a dragon.
No, I would say it's cowardly. Because he did jump into the fights quite often.
Yeah, but only when he had, like, you know, a whole ass cannon to try shoot down dragons. The rest of the time he spent just running and dodging fire. You know, like...
Yeah, but
Like, he never runs headfirst at a dragon to punch it. Meanwhile, all the other Vikings in the village are running headfirst at dragons to punch them in the fucking face.
to be fair though, he comes OP in a way that's unique in that time movie. It's like a lot of people like say in the village, it's Viking village. You know, strength headbutt until it dies. He knows he can't do that. So he goes, well, how can I make sure it dies? You know?
Catapult.
Yeah.
Until later in the movie where he just goes, okay, what if I just claim this dragon
Yeah.
and make it my friend? Oh, it'll fight for me. Oh, I've got an idea. And then he somehow talks all the other Vikings into that plan.
How do we defeat the dragons easier? Hang on. Let's do something no one's ever done before. Let's watch it. And see what it does.
Let's befriend some of them, and they'll lead us to the big dragon, and if we kill the big dragon, they'll all fuck off.
My next place goes in, it's gonna be like top, like rank with me the first one, because it's like the same one as Akira. The game you haven't seen yet.
Yes, I've not seen Akira, no.
And those two sit at my top number one because those what got me on the path of like watching and reading mangas all the time when I was younger. You know, because they're both of them for the time. I mean, Akira alone, when they first came out in the 80s, the animator who had done it had to invent 15 different shades of grey.
That sounds about fucking right, yeah.
Just to make like the general anime. I mean, hang on. I can't show people at home this because we'll get fucking clapped for doing it. I won't keep that on because I'll watch that later.
Like, I'm assuming the copyright gods would come down and just have their way with our bodies.
Yes, because what happened with the Akira is they had the Japanese dub and original dub came out. Later on in the later 2000s, the Americans got hands on it again and redubbed it again, removing some questionable content they found out of it, like there's a lot of drug references going on in that show and everything else.
Which, like, valid.
Yeah, the 2001 dub. So I want to kill the thing volume for the people at home because they say they can't hear this or be fucked. So remember, this is back in the 80s. I think give me 3 peanuts. Bear in mind, those are like high school students.
Yeah. I assumed.
Anyway, to get the idea of why the animation stuff back then. Nothing even like this time. It's pretty good.
I mean, it looks good, but you can also like kind of tell it was 1980s at the same time.
Yeah.
So there's a few like tricks happening here and there where, if you know animation history, you can immediately go, "That was 1980s. That was the last time we used that bullshit."
Yeah, you can still see the dateness of it because like facial styles have changed since then. And that, but to me, for an anime film done back then, it stacks up very well even by modern standards of like some of the bullshit Disney puts out, let alone.
You say that, but like, I mean, you and a lot of people say that, but like, I can't think of a Disney film that's come out that I haven't liked outside of Star Wars. Like, like the worst one I can think of is like Elemental, where it was I guess.
Inside Out.
I personally love Inside Out. It's like in my top 10. I fucking adore that film.
I just kind of get a vibe with it. It was basically a film watching a child have an existential crisis and people laughing at it.
It's more a film of a child going through puberty and the kind of awkwardness that comes with puberty.
Anyway, I would love to get into like the lore of tables all night for that one. So, your next pick, my good sir.
Hang on, I'm chewing. So my number 2 pick is a slightly controversial pick, but it's Forrest Gump.
See, my problem with Forrest Gump as a pick is I could never put. I'll do like the film, don't know where I watched it. Is I can never pick what kind of category it should go into. Is it a war movie or is it a like a Hallmark movie of a guy pulling himself up by the bootstraps, even though being mentally handicapped, and making a good name of himself?
See, I argue that Forrest Gump is neither of these movies. I argue that Forrest Gump, right, is essentially a memoir film. Because the fact that like he goes to war isn't essential to the overarching story.
Yeah.
The fact that he's like learning disadvantaged isn't really that important to the overarching story. Like, if you take either of these elements out, or even both out, you still have the same story of just young dude going through life, falling in love, getting separated from the woman he loves who doesn't love him back. You know, like, it's essentially a movie / book about a guy telling his life story to either his son or the grave of his dead wife, depending on like who you believe.
Isn't Forrest Gump based on a true story?
No, it's not.
Is it not?
No, it's based on a book by the same name that is. It's like the first novel version I can think of like, you know, like those found footage films
Yes.
where it's like, well,
Dioramas.
it's purposely made to look like it's based on a true story. It's like the first novelization version of that. Think like remember like when War of the Worlds first came out on radio, and like everyone missed that opening statement being like, "This is bullshit." It's basically that as a book, but there was never that opening statement of "This is bullshit."
I think the correct term is the direct diamocracy or something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
Or
It's like
filmocracy, something.
yeah, it's like a fictional documentary.
Yeah.
Like a fictional memoir is like how I describe the book.
See, the beauty is I would have sat and listened to the original War of the Worlds, and I can understand why people were terrified of it.
Oh yeah, because it is like devastatingly accurate to how an actual news broadcast would go
Yeah.
if there was an alien invasion.
Yeah. And I can understand why people were like, shit.
You know, like, oh god, New York's been deleted off the map. Oh god.
Yeah.
You know, like, it makes sense.
You know, and it's one of those things is, yeah, even if that came with like today's airwaves, people go, oh shit, and believe it. It came with the AM radio without any context behind it.
Or like if we just played during BBC.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like if you just turned on BBC like news, and just War of the Worlds was playing on BBC News, you'd shit yourself by default.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like.
The major broadcasting what comes up and it's. Whereas that broadcast going to be on the background, it's like, oh shit. And boy, in today's political climate, an alien invasion is at least 4 problems.
Yeah. Like at this point, it might solve a couple of issues.
Right, now my next pick is going to be a bit of a controversial one because it's about controversy all the thing. Full Metal Jacket.
Fair, good pick. Solid war movie. I do enjoy it, and I haven't heard any controversy around Full Metal Jacket.
Like, it's more of a modern controversy around it because of the simple fact is it predicts Vietnam, which the Americans are like, eh.
I'm kind of touchy on.
Yeah. Secondly, it depicts a strong case of suicide and
Yes.
bullying, and for some reason, your group went on and saying, well, Private Pile obviously trans. For some reason, I don't know why they get that, but
Yeah, I never understood that either, to be fair. But
yeah, and there's that kind of thingy. But also, it is based on a true story-ish.
yeah,
A dramatized story, part of the true story, but it's based on the true story of an actual person of a guy. Which basically, because a lot of people assume it's just a Vietnam movie.
yeah,
But it's not, it's a documentary of the soldier's life from start to finish
yeah.
in Vietnam. Because a lot of people assume that the Private Pile story is the main point of it.
Yeah, it's not. It's like
Yeah.
I think Private Pile blows his brains out at like the halfway mark.
There's literally halfway.
There's like another half of the movie still to come at that point. Like it's
Yeah. Coming down for the first watch with my dad, he's like says it's a movie of two distinct halves. You got the training half of Pirate Pile in, which shows the harshness of drill sergeants. Then you got the war itself, which depicts why the drill sergeant is such a bastard.
yeah, because it's kind of like to prep you of like, if I'm a piece of shit to you now, then the shit you're gonna go into ain't gonna seem as bad.
Yeah.
Whereas if I'm nice to you, the shit you're about to walk into is gonna seem way fucking worse than it is. Whereas it's kind of like, as a trick still used by the army today in training of, we're gonna abuse the shit out of you, so when you're in the real shit, you're not that worried about it because it doesn't seem that bad.
Yeah.
Whereas a civilian who hadn't had that training is going to shit themselves.
We're gonna make your life a living hell. Because when real battle comes in, you think that the hell we give you is the worst you could possibly be, where the hell they're like, oh, it's a walk in the park, I'm not too bad. Now, admittedly, you did go after Pirate Pile very hard in
Yes.
that movie. But again, though, as an example to the rest of the soldiers, like, this is what not to be. And again, I do admit, like, one person said Pirate Pile had like underlying mental issues,
Yes.
which showed in the movie, which the Joe never took into consideration. But like, I argued back to someone like, that's not his job.
Yeah.
He shouldn't have been there. Then that was the case.
Like if the guy wasn't mentally sound enough to kind of take the brutality of the training, he shouldn't have been recruited. You know, like. But at the same time, like from my perspective, like if I was like running a training course, like an army training course, you know, and I had like say 20 dudes who are in like okay shape, a twink or a fat guy.
Yeah.
That fat guy is getting pushed way fucking harder than everyone else.
Yes.
Everyone else, like pretty much everyone else, is already at a stage where not too hard to get them in fighting shape, right? The twink needs some work, but we can get there, right? If like we got a guy who's the same kind of body type as fucking Private Pile in that movie, it's like,
Yeah. Well,
okay,
basically-
I need you to drop like 100 pounds in 6 weeks. So I'm gonna beat the shit out of you till you lose those fucking like that 60 pounds, like now. You know, like.
Yeah, so to me, I give a good picture about actually Vietnam was like. Where a lot of movies that over heroize the movie. Mm-hmm. The one that tending to do this is Rambo, which was Metal Scars after the war, but not after the war itself.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I prefer, like, say, I prefer Jack over Saving Private Ryan as a war movie.
I mean, that's fair. Like I enjoy Saving Private Ryan, but then I just have like a preference towards the European theatre of World War II for historical wars. Like I really enjoy that part of like historical warfare.
Don't get me wrong, Saving Private Ryan's a damn good movie.
Well, it's a really good movie.
But there's some historical truth in it. Mm-hmm. But again, though, it's one of those ones where, because it's an American movie about World War II, they have to prove themselves as the best hero. And it's like, I want to waste an entire unit to save one random fucking kid.
Yeah.
Which would not happen in the entire military theatre.
The only problem is that it did happen. Saving Private Ryan is based on a true story. Like, the US Army did do that.
It's not, Saving Private Ryan's based on any story. It's completely fictional. Saving Private Ryan's completely fictional.
No, it's a true story.
It's not. Let me believe it is.
It's a true story. Private Ryan was a real dude.
Yeah, what's that
All
called?
the characters in the movie were real soldiers. Well, the actors obviously weren't, but the characters they're playing were real soldiers, and their actual mission on D-Day was to go track down Private Ryan because his other brothers had been killed earlier in the day, so they could ship him home to his mother. This was a genuine thing that occurred in the war.
Loosely based on it.
Yes, because there are some minor differences between the real story and what happened in the movie, but the general gist of the movie is close enough.
No, the character, Captain John Miller, and the mission to find Private James Francis Ryan was fictional. And made deals about Fitz as Nolan and his rescue were fictional.
I disagree.
That's what it says here. The movie was inspired by the tragedy of the Nolan family. The movie was based on accounts of multiple soldiers in a single family being killed in action. The movie was inspired by a book by Stephen E. Ambrose. The movie was based on interviews with veterans. So like some of the events depicted were like historically-ish accurate. The actual mission to go and rescue Private Ryan, it wasn't.
Huh. I'd heard that like it was an actual mission that had occurred.
Like the delayed landing, some of the stuff going on in the periphery of the movie,
Yeah.
that was all like based on veteran accounts. The actual mission where he's traveling across the thing to go and rescue this one random 20-year-old. Nope.
Because I remember hearing, I mean, I'm going back a few years, but I remember hearing that fucking like General MacArthur himself had signed off on the rescue orders to save Private Ryan, and like there was a whole actual operation within like during D-Day to go track him the fuck down because he was like fucking General MacArthur's like fucking what's it like nephew-in-law or some shit.
No. That's one of the things Americans do a lot with like watching like a lot of war movies from American based around. And I've habit of like showing that we have this hero complex where we will sacrifice men just to leave this poor woman suffering a little bit.
Yeah.
As a grand hero of the USA, like, no, they weren't.
I mean, during World War II, yeah, no, I could fully believe they would have wasted resources like that. Because they had the resources to fucking spare. Nowadays, fuck no, they're just bombing that kid. They don't give a shit anymore.
Yeah. But a lot of American war movies have that habit of doing that, where instead of giving like the nitty gritty truth behind it, like I say with From a Jacket, we have that dark element of like what the training could do to some soldier, and like a general real view of what Vietnam was like for the soldiers who went over there, the poor greenhorns. Whereas with Saving Private Ryan, I think at the horror of the war, it's still a very happy-go-lucky movie in a way. You know, some random unit truckling on through Normandy, trying to find one random kid to take home to his parents. It's almost like a fairy tale story in a modern war setting.
I mean, yeah, okay, kind of, I guess, yeah.
You know? And that's... Let's say, don't get me wrong, it's still a damn good movie.
That's a really good movie.
And does fit like how World War II happened around the peripherals, but the actual mission itself, no. No general right mind would sign off that mission.
It's a damn good movie, but it's far from my favourite World War II movie.
Anyway, what's your next movie, actually? No, is it mine now?
No, Cure to Full Metal. This is mine.
Yeah, sure.
So this is what, pick 3? Pick 3. For my third pick, right? I would like to say, by the way, we're on similar brainwaves when we came up with these lists in our heads. Because my third pick is also a war movie, from a different war. Right, mine's from the Korean War.
Alright.
No, it's not. It's from the Vietnam War. I'm a fucking moron. And I've just realised that I'm a moron because the clue's in the fucking name of the movie. It's Good Morning Vietnam. For some reason I had it in my head for a brief second. It was called Good Morning Korea. No, dipshit. It's Good Morning Vietnam. With Robin Williams was the comedian. There's two. There's Robin. There's one's the comedian, one's the singer, and I always get them mixed up. One's Robin, the other's Robbie.
Robin is the what call it? Walking Mindy type, what I'm thinking of. Call his daughter Zelda.
Yeah. So with Robin, like Good Morning Vietnam with Robin Williams is my third favourite movie of all time, and my number one favourite war movie of all time. Because it's that beautiful blend I think every war movie should be of really good comedy and just hell, devastating, emotional gut punches left and right.
Yeah.
Because that's what war is. You have these long downtimes. It's like you know, behind friendly lines where it's a laugh.
Yeah.
And then the rest of the time it's hell. It's utter hell. Everyone's dying. You're seeing horrors beyond mortal comprehension at every turn, and you're being shot at. And then you go behind friendly lines again and you have a good time for like a couple days, and then you go back to seeing horrors beyond mortal comprehension.
Right. Good Vietnam is
And the
good.
movie does a brilliant job of balancing those two emotions the entire way through.
It's a good one because the problem with Good Morning Vietnam is it said as a part of a series of movies came out by the same director, showing different aspects. You had Good Morning Vietnam, which then showed camaraderie.
Yes.
Then you had The Apocalypse Now,
Yes.
which showed the psychopathicness in the war with that. I think it was Michael J. Fox was in it,
Yeah.
and they go and track down one of the units that went off the rails and he believed he was God. Type thing.
Yes.
Remember correctly.
Because it's got that movie's got one of my favourite lines ever said in a war movie, because everyone on planet Earth has quoted it at least once. Dear God, I love the smell of napalm in the morning.
Yeah, that's Apocalypse Now.
Like, I think everyone's referenced that at least once by just replacing the word napalm with coffee. You know, just ooh baby, I love the smell of coffee in the morning.
There's plenty of memes around it, you know. I love the smell of whatever in the morning.
I love the smell of burn. No, red card, sin bin.
You know, there's very few memes about the smell of. You know, try that, just tin.
I'm okay, thank you.
Just tin curry. Just tin curry.
So I'm not in a curry mood today.
So yeah, it's okay. Fourth pick. Oh, it's a few. At fourth, there's quite a few odd ones to pick from. It's an old one, very old.
Yours, the older the film is, the higher the chances are I've seen it become.
Yeah, Savage Planet.
Which one?
Savage Planet.
Okay, no, I have not seen Savage Planet.
It's an old, I think it's about back in my 30s movie.
Yes. I'm vaguely aware of it because either my dad has a poster of it or my dad has talked about it before.
It got a remake in the 60s, but it was a case of essentially, you know, people, astronauts go rescue a scientist on a planet of old aliens. He's done research on them. And he's like a machine which like projects his thoughts somewhat. Daughter has been there on the planet with the father for all her life. Sees a handsome man, starts swaying a bit. Father, feeling jealous internally, unleashes a magical beast onto said party without realizing he was doing it.
Fair.
Type thing. That's basically the whole premise of the movie. Them trying to fight off this unknown magical beast, where they don't know where it came from. And all that way, trying to keep the daughter safe and figuring out what the fuck is going on. It's talking about like an hour and 10 minutes long, which is about average for like 1930s movies. But it's a fairly decent, like sci-fi storytelling at the back of the time. It's not the greatest storytelling or the greatest like visual effects, but for me, it's one of those ones where it portrays how it falls in that same category like Buck Rogers type storytelling and that type of stuff, which I do vibe with back then. It was like an old. I mean, it was actually an A-list movie at the time, but now most people say, "Oh, it's just a B-list pile of junk," and been relegated to almost obscurity, shall we say? I think it's a crying shame.
Yeah, there's a lot of films like that from over the years where it was like a big A-list celebrity movie that's now just obscure as fuck.
And that's because how the movie genre has changed, because this came out at the back tail end of the War of the World scenario.
Yeah.
So sci-fi movies were getting quite big, and
So it's like, look at the movies that what was that US president?
Nixon.
I think it was either Nixon or Reagan, the one who was like the famous Hollywood actor before he became president.
Reagan, I think that one is.
Yeah. Name a Ronald Reagan movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Before he was US president, world like massive famous actor in a bunch of cowboy movies. Today, can anyone name any of those fucking movies?
It's not that.
I doubt it.
I think from what we've got is like the sci-fi's never had a good run in the as a cinematic thing. It's always been relegated to the B movie piles all the time.
I don't know. The Star Trek movies usually do pretty good,
Yeah, Star Trek movies about the exception, not the rule.
and Star Wars, obviously.
As I mean,
Even the shit Star Wars is make a fuck ton of money.
no, I'm not talking about Star Trek. Star Trek flopped massively. To be honest, when they first came, they flopped hard when they got released. No one liked them.
I feel like overall though,
If you go about the cards ones, like Generations.
I feel like as a whole, like start to finish, the whole way through, shit ton of money.
Star Trek the series, yes. The movies themselves from the original TOS, no.
Individually, they didn't do great, but you take like every Star Trek movie and look at their like profit margins, the overall works out really good.
And that, but like I said, there's lots of like Star Wars, like sci-fi movies who came out and just died a death. The one wasn't like recently, in like the late 90s, early 2000s, where sci-fi got a little bit of revival, then got knocked back again because of Afghanistan war movies.
Yeah.
Came back a little bit in like the 2015s. Then the Marvel series really kicked off and completely shut that shit down. Because despite what people believe, Marvel is not a freaking sci-fi movie; it's a freaking hero movie.
It depends on the Marvel movie. Because I do argue Guardians of the Galaxy is way more of a sci-fi movie than it is a superhero movie. Like, not a single cunt in those movies has a superpower. They're just alien dudes. And one of them is just a guy. One of them is just a fucking guy who likes the 80s. You got the guy who likes the 80s, sentient raccoon, for reasons, right? Green bitch, blue bitch, weird pale bitch, Dave Bautista. Like, that's the lot, that's the crew, and they just kick the shit out of people.
I do.
And or shoot people in the face with space guns. That's the movie.
I do admit, out of all the Marvel runs, Guardians of the Galaxy is my favourite of all of them.
Yes. That's because like Guardians of the Galaxy is more up your alley in terms of like what it's about.
Yeah.
You know, it's a pure sci-fi flick that's just basically a fuck about realistically. It's a movie where they gave a director a bunch of money and some space assets and went, just fuck about, mate, and film it, we don't care. And James Gunn did exactly that and made an amazing film in the process.
It's not just that though,
and then they let him do it again.
Even the storytelling for Marvel, right, is, even though they are technically heroes,
yes,
right, only in Guardians of the Galaxy do they suffer consequences for being twats. Whereas in any other Marvel...
no, they do, excuse me, they do fuck. They do begin to start suffering consequences for their shit. Specifically, it's in Captain America Civil War is where that starts happening.
Yes.
Because that's the entire point of the Civil War, is S.H.I.E.L.D. rocks up to the Avengers and is like, yo, y'all literally nuked a city in that last fight? What the fuck? Like, you're going to jail, assholes. Like, no.
You nuked a city for a guy who had, let's be honest here, a taser fists.
Oh, it's even worse than that. You nuked a city to capture a robot one of you built. You know, like, one of you fucked with weird tech options, built a killer robot, and then you nuked a city to get the robot back and kill the robot.
Yeah.
What the fuck, dudes? And this causes Iron Man, who built the robot, and Captain America to have an entire superhero war with each other. Because Captain America's kind of like, hey, maybe we are the fucking bad guys, though.
All the way around.
Oh no, you're right. Captain America's like, no, fuck you, we're the good guys. And Iron Man's like, no, I built a killer robot, they're right. Maybe we're not the good guys. You know, like, and like, it's like, up until that point in the movies of like, yeah, they had like mass collateral damage, but it was like defensive every time of like in the first Avengers, alien invasion, collateral damage happened because, hey, we were fighting off fucking aliens that started it.
Yeah.
Fair enough, the government would probably be like, yeah, alright, fine. You know, like, you fucked up some of Manhattan, but fine, we'll let it slide this time. You know, like, and it slowly just, the collateral slowly from there got worse and fucking worse. Mm-hmm. Until it got to the point where they nuked a whole lot, they literally dropped a city on a guy.
Yes.
You know, and that's where the US government finally went, and you're being pricks. You know, and they start getting that flack. And like from there on, after like that whole battle and they kind of cam shit down with the government, you see them cam their shit way the fuck down again and drop the amount of collateral damage. You actively see them all start to make more of an effort to not fuck shit up.
Yes.
You know, like it's kind of impressive to me. Not a lot of, especially like long running movie series could have that overarching story and do it well.
The problem is
because I think the Marvel movies did it quite well.
The problem in the original VeggieTale, the Civil War doesn't happen. No, it's more of a recent one.
It does.
In the older ones.
Yes.
At the moment, the Civil War never happened.
Yes.
Well, sorry to lie, it did happen, but not for the reasons that...
It's not for reasons stated in the film, but
yeah,
like that version of Civil War is like a newer canon line. But even then, the first Civil War comic, I want to say it was the 1980s. I'm gonna guess 86 off the top of my head. I know it's a shit ton older than I am, so I'm gonna guess 1986-ish.
I know it's 88.
It sounds about. I remember it being the 80s, give or take.
Because Red Hawk didn't come out till 87.
Red Hawk isn't in it.
The guy with the fucking jetpack with rings on it.
Red Hawk isn't. Yeah, he's not in it.
He is.
Not in the original Civil War comic. The Civil War movie, yes, but not in the original comic of Civil War.
No, he's in the comic, but he's only there for like a couple of scenes to get knocked out by Stark very early on.
Not in the original Civil War from the 80s. The newer Civil War comic, the Civil War movie, and the newest Civil War comic, yes, he's in those, but not that very first Civil War comic from the early 80s.
Anyway, your fourth pick.
My fourth pick. What the fuck is my fourth pick?
You're asking me.
I don't know. It's tough. It's tough because I got two picks. I've been kind of umming and ahhing all day about like which one goes where between the two. I'm gonna have to give it to Porco Rosso because I've seen it more than the other option I had.
It's a good movie.
It's a fantastic movie. Genuinely one of my all-time favorites. I've seen it far too many times. It's my favorite Studio Ghibli piece, which I know to a lot of Studio Ghibli fans, that sentence is sacrilege.
Yeah, because most of Howl's Moving Castle.
Yeah, like most people would argue it should be Howl's Moving Castle and or Spirited Away. And don't get me wrong, both are fantastic movies.
Both of them are.
But they're not Porco Rosso. Porco Rosso's just better. To me personally, I think Porco Rosso is just a better movie because it's just not up its own arse. Like my problem with like, especially like a lot of anime films in general, is a lot of them feel so up their own arse.
Yeah.
Of like, oh yes, we're beautiful and we have like a poignant message. Whereas like Porco Rosso is just a movie of a guy who gets cursed to be a pig because he worked for a fascist. Who's like, yeah, fuck the fascists. Don't be an asshole. Fuck you, you Yankee prick. And will you fuck me, beautiful bartender? And also, I'm going to adopt this child / teenager who's the daughter of my friend who builds airplanes. Why? Because fuck it, that's why. She asked very nicely, and I kinda sorta accidentally kidnapped her ass, and I'm stuck with her now. Fuck it.
Yeah.
You know? And we're gonna have a whole side plot where she befriends a shit ton of sky pirates. Fuck it. And it's gonna be great. By the way, did I mention that I owe those sky pirates like $50 billion for fucking up their airplanes every 2 weeks? No, because I should have. Like, it's...
Porco Rosso is a good
And
one.
also he fights an American for reasons. Because said American's a bit of a dickhead. It's a great movie. It's a movie that doesn't give a shit. It isn't up its own arse. It doesn't have some rhetoric to spout to you outside of don't be an asshole. Don't be an asshole, don't be a fascist. That's the message of the movie. That's all it has to say outside of look at the cool pig that flies the plane.
See, my one for Studio Ghibli, mine would be Princess Mononoke.
See, I like Princess Mononoke. I've seen it and I liked it. But it was just a Japanese adaptation of The Borrowers. You know the film The Borrowers? Like
yes.
little people live under the floors and shit?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it was basically just that, but in the forest.
It was nowhere near that.
It was pretty much that in the forest.
It wasn't.
In fact, technically it's closer to just a Japanese Fern Gully, quite frankly.
Okay, Fern Gully I'll give you.
Like, it's Fern Gully and The Borrowers at the same time, but in the forest.
Except, like, this came up before Fern Gully did, but...
Still.
No, we might like Mononoke more is... It's one of like, the more... Like, undiluted folk-telling... A story of folk-telling of a story.
Because I had the same issue with that Arrietty film as well, the Studio Ghibli did, because that is literally just The Borrowers plot.
Arrietty? Which one's that one? That one with the cat bus.
No.
Ah.
No, Arrietty's... It's like a little girl about yay big that lives underneath a mansion in the woods. And a family move into the mansion and she befriends the family by stealing their shit. It's literally The Borrowers. Every step of the way, start to finish, it is The Borrowers set in rural Japan.
Yeah.
And I hate it because The Borrowers was better. The Borrowers was better in every single fucking way.
With Mononoke, it's a case of it's a good telling of like how folktales work in Japan, and how like folklore works, and how like how they perceived back then how the gods and everything worked, type thing.
Yeah.
Which is why I like it so much. See, like little forest elves that shake their heads weirdly. You know, you had the giant boar, which happened to be the god of a mountain, which
Yeah.
got corrupted because of how Japan was changing at the time.
That's it. It's Fern Gully with extra steps. It's Japanese Fern Gully. Like, it's... That's not a bad thing, necessarily, but it's also, like... I could just watch Fern Gully if I wanted a movie a bitch about don't fuck up the trees. You know, like...
It's... the problem is I don't like the Nathan Fingers film, because essentially...
The only difference is Fern Gully was a musical. That's the only real difference.
It's not... Real... How to... I think it's oversimplification to call it Fern Gully.
I don't know, dude. All I'm saying is if I put Tim Curry into Princess Mononoke, it becomes literally the same fucking film.
It does not.
You wouldn't be able to distinguish the two if Tim Curry was in both. If we had Tim Curry in both films, you wouldn't tell them apart. You'd get the two mixed up all the fucking time.
I wouldn't.
It's a movie about don't fuck with the trees. Like, that's... And yet somehow, completely different to the Lorax. Even though all three films share the same general premise of don't fuck the trees. Only two of them are in any way similar. And it's not... Neither of those two are the Lorax. The Lorax is the outlier in that genre, and it makes no fucking sense the Lorax is the outlier there.
Because the Lorax is more of a case of... It's more a case of cautionary tale of... Be careful what you wish for.
See, it's more a case of like Fern Gully and Princess Mononoke is don't fuck with the trees, nature will like bitch slap you.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas the Lorax is don't fuck with the trees or I will kill you. Like that's the difference there.
Okay,
No, like in Fern Gully, even the machinery turns against the humans for fucking with the trees. You know?
Right, so it's my pick now, isn't it?
Like, whereas in the Lorax, Danny DeVito fucks a guy up for screwing with the trees. Like, that's the difference between these three films. It's beautiful. God bless Danny DeVito for fucking up people who fuck with the trees.
Now this one's more of a hard one for me, my fifth one.
You just did a pick.
I didn't.
You did fucking Mononoke.
You did Poker. No, I didn't.
You did. You literally just did fucking Princess Mononoke.
Yeah, it was context of your Studio Ghibli mark.
Oh,
Poker
right.
also.
I thought that was your pick for.
No, no. Remember, Mononoke's a good one, but it's not me in my top 5
Right.
or anything like that. Because
I see. That was like a bonus pick. I see. I'm with you.
it was one of Mononoke's one of those ones where because I've seen it a few times, I know it off by heart anyway. But it's one of those ones that I sit down and watch if I just want to get, if I'm not caring too much what I'm doing at the time.
Yeah.
When I watch it, same with like any Studio Ghibli one, it's a casual watcher.
Yeah.
Rather than I'll sit down there and actually pay laser folk attention to it.
Honestly, like if I'm putting on a movie, I have to sit and watch it.
Mm-hmm.
Like I can't have a movie as background noise. Like I have to like sit and watch the film because like I get distracted trying to like do both. Whereas a YouTube video, I can easily have that in the background, or like music I can do in the background, or even a TV show. If I've seen it before, or like I'm not into it really, I can have it as background noise.
Yeah.
Whereas like even if it's a movie I fucking despise, my options are sit down and watch it or turn it off if I'm gonna do something else.
So the problem is my last pick is kind of like both films are similar but different genres, right? And I can't distinguish between the two. Is the original Dune,
fair,
right? Not the remake or the second.
Yeah.
The original Dune, or Last Kingdom.
See,
Is my problem with them two is because they're both very similar storytelling
yeah.
of a thing.
Personally, I prefer The Last Kingdom. Out of the two, like, because like I've seen all of The Last Kingdom, and I enjoyed it. I saw like half of the first Dune movie, and fell asleep.
The Patrick Stewart one.
Yeah, like it's. I dislike the original Dune more than I dislike the remake of Dune. Which it's sacrilegious statement, I know.
Yes.
But also like, cause like with like the remake of Dune, like I watched that, like I watched it in the cinema with my friend because free movie ticket. You're not saying no. Went along to watch it, and like my main criticism was, like in the first 30 minutes of this movie, I have to sit through a 20-minute fucking discussion between characters about intergalactic trade routes.
Yes.
In a galaxy I've not had enough time of interacting with to give a fuck about, the intergalactic trade routes of.
Yes.
The original Dune is that criticism, only instead of it being a 20-minute conversation, it's the first half of the fucking movie.
Yes.
And also it's a 3-hour movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's a long-ass movie and the first half is just political shit that isn't really that important, quite frankly. You could cut the first half of the movie and you'd still have the same plot happen.
See, to me, Kingdom Come has the same thing where the first half of the movie is a lot of political maneuvering.
Yes. The difference is, like, with The Last Kingdom is, like, it's true shit that, like, went down.
Yeah.
Like,
Now,
the first half of The Last Kingdom is essentially a history documentary.
now
The first half of Dune is bollocks.
the Women Dune's been remade twice.
Yes.
Now, the second remake, which was the Sci-Fi Channel did it
Yes.
back in the early 2000s.
I didn't watch that one.
As a remake, it was better than what we have now. But
I wouldn't know, 'cause I've not seen the old remake. I've only seen the newest.
it's hard to find a copy of it these days because it was a TV movie.
Yeah,
But it had some,
those are always a bastard to get your hands on.
but it had some good actors in it and a good effects back then. But better than the fucking Asylum shit that comes out these days,
Yeah,
with like PS2 graphics slapped onto a movie for some reason. But yeah, it was. And the problem with that one is, because I remember that one I watched with my dad, and the main criticism I have is they purposely changed some of the aesthetics of the world.
yeah,
Because you had the witches and that type of stuff in that one, but in the original you had what's called the word that cracks the world,
yes,
right? Because the main character has the ability where he speaks because like a device on his neck.
yes,
With witches usually talk so powerful that it cracks the actual whole floor of the castle thing that he's in on Dune.
yeah. I know the place you mean. I just don't remember what the fuck the place was. But yeah.
And in the second, the first remake, that never occurred. Okay, it was more woo-woo bullshit
Yeah.
than it was technological, which always ached me a little bit, but it didn't at the same time. It was like,
See, it's something I really like about the new Dune remake versus like the original Dune is there's still like those like supernatural elements going on in the story of like you got the witches there and like they kind of the main character only exists because they kind of need him for some prophecy or some shit. I was around the time they were explaining their plans. I went for a fag because like it had been 2.5 hours and I was a little bored. Like it's like nothing had happened in an hour and a half of the fucking movie. You know, it's like I don't really quite know what the fuck they were up to, but like the main character exists because the witches need him for some shit.
mm-hmm.
You know, it's like there's some supernatural shit going on there, but like it's not so much supernatural shit that it distracts you from the fact this is a space them up. It's just enough supernatural shit for you to go, there's some spooky shit going on, but not so much that you find yourself going, it's a spooky movie, it's a magic movie,
yeah,
because it's not. It's a space movie. It's space Game of Thrones.
essentially yes.
You know, like not even essentially. Straight up, it's space Game of Thrones. Let's be fair here. Game of Thrones just ripped off Dune and set it on Earth instead of space. Like, let's be fair there. Like,
With the magical shit coming from the back of a worm's ass,
yeah, you know, like it's
which is needed for space travel.
you know, like it's
It's allowed you to tell the future.
you know, I like the universe of Dune. I really do love the universe that like is going on in Dune.
It is.
I like part of the story, specifically like the big rebellion bit of the story. Like I really fuck with that bit of the story. It's just like every adaptation of Dune, including the books, has the same issue as like Game of Thrones of there's so much extra shit going on that I just don't fucking care about whatsoever.
See, with
You know, like you got the space politics, the trade routes.
yeah,
You know, fucking. See if like the book and the movies are just focused on the good bit of, you know, fucking mining, Spice Planet being used for mining, the people are being abused, the people rise up, they have a rebellion, bada bing, bada boom. It was just that. If that was just the whole thing, job done, 10 out of 10 movie every single time. 10 out of 10 book, job done.
the problem.
But then they've got all that extra shit going on that just takes what should be an hour and a half, 2-hour movie tops, and makes it like either a 3-hour movie or 4 3-hour movies, depending on who made
See, the
it.
big problem with Dune was the guy who wrote Dune was inspired by how Star Wars created a whole universe you could have multiple movies set in.
Yes.
Because one of the key things that if you ever read the books is you got what's called I can't remember what the name was, but they're basically thrill seekers who perfectly fly at light speed
Yes.
without using a pilot
Yes.
and that.
See, and that's all well and good to do that in the book of have all these cool fucking things going on that you can use later
Yeah.
for movies, right? But it's you look at Star Wars. How often in Star Wars realistically is the politics brought up? Twice? 3 times?
At least once per movie.
It's barely ever really fucking mentioned what the fucking politics is.
Well, it depends.
It's not the point of the movie.
If you go for the first 3 movies, then no, it's not.
Even in the first 3 movies, it gets brought up. You go Phantom Menace. There's an hour tops dedicated to the trade this trade federation and their political fuckery.
No, I'm not talking about that.
And
No,
then it
I'm talking
stops
about
caring for the rest of the movie.
New Hope to Empire Strikes Back.
Even the New Hope, there's a little bit of the political talk going on of
Yeah, but it's
the
almost
Empire
whereas
set up these laws.
in the
and it's
first
bullshit.
3 prequels, politics is brought up quite a bit because the whole point of the prequels is to set the stage why Palpatine came into power. That
Yes,
does
but-
require a lot of political talk.
And even then, there is more political talk in the prequels than the original 3, but there's still not a lot of political talk. It's there. You're given the information, but you're given it very quickly, and you're only given the shit you need to know. The rest of it's just kind of you don't need that info for this movie, so who would give a shit?
Something interesting that a lot of people skip over with the prequel movies, right? Is Anakin essentially when he first starts in the first one is 5 years old.
No, he'd be 8.
8 years old,
Phantom Menace.
right? Padmé, who's the queen of her planet, is 22.
She's 16.
No, she's 22.
No, she's 16.
I'm
No, sorry. I stand correct. I'm wrong on both counts. Anakin was 9 in Phantom Menace, and Padme was 14 in Phantom Menace.
No, she was older.
No, the character is supposed to be 14 in Phantom Menace.
I'm pretty sure she was 22, supposedly.
The actress was 22, the character is supposed to be 14. R-I-N. Or in fact, are you looking for Padme or Princess?
Padmé.
Right, P-A-D-M-E.
There it is. Oh, yeah, 14 years old.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure it was older.
14 years old.
Youngest.
Youngest planetary leader in galactic history by that point in the timeline. Yes, I'm one of these Star Wars nerds. Thank you.
Because the contrary came up with the fact that by the time we get to the second movie, Padmé and Anakin are dating.
Discreetly on the side, yes.
Yes. A lot of people brought up the fact because a lot of people believed that she was 22 because I did.
Yeah, no, she's 14.
And that.
Because in the second movie, Anakin is, if I remember rightly, Anakin is supposed to be 16. If I remember rightly, in the second movie.
16 and 17, I think he is.
I think he's 16 in the second movie. 15, 16.
Yeah.
And Padme's early 20s. So still technically an inappropriate relationship, but not quite pedophilia.
Yeah, because the original one is supposed to be. So that's what saying that Anakin was only. Given how fast time progressed, he was only something 15 and she was in the 30s by that point.
She was early 20s, and he would have been 15, 16. That kind of
Right.
age range.
Oh. Jai. So your last pick.
My last pick, my very last pick, that would be. It'd have to be the movie Wolf Children.
Not the animated one. Ain't a bad pick.
Wait, you say what, the animated one, there's another Wolf Children movie?
Yes, they did a live action version of it,
Oh,
which was terrible.
that doesn't sound good. Yeah, no thanks.
Because it was an American director who did it and had no idea.
That
what
would be
he
why
was
it's trash and I've never heard of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, the animated Wolf Children, which is...
They used a Korean CGI studio and had an American director right behind it. And it
Yeah,
was
that
just,
doesn't sound good. No.
Basically, they did the same thing they did with Ghost in the Shell with the new live action remake of it, which I hate for one reason because I remember reading these snaps first, like, this takes place in Hong Kong, like, fuck off right away and just put it away.
I don't mind that. I don't mind if, like, they remake a thing and just, like, change the location it's set in. Like, that doesn't bother me too much as long as the main plot points stay the same. I don't give a shit.
The problem with the location is one of the main plot points of the whole movie. And that.
Even then, like, it doesn't seem like that big of a deal of, like, you know, because I'm assuming the original was, like, Tokyo.
Nope.
If I remember it, no.
Because in the...
Vaguely Japan, then, like...
It was in Japan, but the problem we got is it's set in a future where World War III does happen, and America nukes Japan again. And it takes out Tokyo on that because the original takes place in the new capital of Nagasaki. The reason why it's important is because politically it's an important area for where the movie set, because it works as part of like a secret police, like paramilitary police force dealing with terrorism type thing.
You really want to stand on the idea that that couldn't just happen in a different city or different country?
No, because the cultural context changes when you change cities.
Because I could write around that change really simply of Japan got nuked again, Tokyo got wiped out, but during the war, like, Japan stole Hong Kong. So they moved their capital to Hong Kong. But the bing! And then the same plot points that would happen in Nagasaki, which in my rewrite would have been bombed too again. All that shit that happened in the Rick just happens in Hong Kong now. That's now owned by Japan. Oh look, it's the same movie again.
It's not.
Like, it's...
We
have the same world setup, we've just changed...
You can say that, but it just doesn't. It doesn't work.
I feel like it really does,
it
though.
It doesn't.
Like...
There's too many cultural contexts around Nagasaki as a city itself, which portrays in the movie, that doesn't translate to just picking up and throwing it to a different city entirely.
It doesn't just change those details. Change those cultural details and still make it fit in the overarching story.
That's the point I'm getting. Those cultures are important to the movie as a whole. So change those cultural details completely changes the movie. Therefore, it's not Ghost in the Shell.
And now I argue it's a stupid point to die on. Like, it's like if we took the story of Lord of the Rings, and we said the hobbits weren't from the Shire anymore, they were from fucking Rivendell, and the elves weren't from Rivendell, they were from the Shire. The movie doesn't change. Like, it's still the same movie. You know, or if we take the plot of Lord of the Rings and we go, okay, instead of it being in Middle Earth, it's now set on fucking right? And the hobbits aren't called hobbits anymore, they're called Tundish. Right? And instead of going to Mordor, they've got to go to Mirktung. But we still have the same plot points of they go from A to B to B to C to C to D, and the Wraiths turn up. Still the same movie, it's just in a different place. And while the location may change some cultural details of the movie, the overall plot is still the same fucking story of we go from A to B, we find the thing, we take the thing from B to C, at C, X happens, after X happens, we go from C over to D, and then we go from D to the finale, and then we destroy the thing and kill the bad guy. Like any movie has the same thing going on. You change the locations and the details, and you make them fit the narrative. Job done.
No, because some movies you can't do that with some movies.
See, I argue some movies you can't do that with, but those movies are real movies. You know, like The Last Kingdom, where it's based on historical events that happened that you can't go back and change. Ghost in the Shell isn't a historical account of events. It's made up bollocks. Like saying,
fuck off!
Changing the details in the story ruins the story. When every detail in the story is made up bollocks anyway, it's just silly.
It's not silly.
It is.
Isn't, because
all of it's made up bullshit.
It's not right. It's a fictional story, yes. But the context around the cultural significance of why the movie works, of why the whole point of the plot of the movie, around the cultural norms of the area they're in, is important to the movie. If you remove those cultural contexts, even if say, well, I'm not going to change the name and the city area, right? It doesn't work because the cultural context of where it's at itself is important to the main plot of the story.
The problem with your argument is said location currently today does not have a culture because it's still a nuclear wasteland.
Nagasaki is not nuclear wasteland.
It's still a nuclear. Like, place got hit with a nuclear bomb. It was on fire for like 300 fucking years. Like,
you have no idea.
Like, Nagasaki is not the capital of Japan today. In the movie, it's now the capital of Japan.
Right. For one thing,
detail.
You've got your crappy idea what history is right now, which is slightly annoying to me. Nagasaki is a thriving metropolis right now.
I disagree. You can't nuke a place and then have it become a thriving metropolis. That's not really how nukes work.
Hokkaido, which was the first one got hit, is completely rebuilt. There's no radiation at all left.
I disagree. That's how nukes work, but
it is essentially how nukes work. When you detonate a nuke,
then what's the point of them?
It's the explosion you want after. When nukes detonate, they don't spread radiation. All the radioactive material is burnt to ash cinders.
Then literally, what's the point?
Because the explosive force of a nuke is greater than anything we have.
Right. You see, like, to me, a nuke should be the modern day equivalent of salting the earth.
That's a neutron.
It should make it. Nothing will live here for 200 fucking years.
That's a neutron bomb, which is different to a nuke. A neutron bomb is essentially a very high-grade dirty bomb.
Yeah.
Where a nuke is purely destructive power.
See, what's the point? Literally, what's the point, though? That's what, it was the 1940s. Like, fuck off, was our nuclear tech that fucking advanced?
Yeah, surprisingly.
Like, it was the first one. Fuck off.
Yeah. There's a slight elevation in radiation levels, but nothing that would affect the humans at all in the area.
Still, my point still stands up. Nagasaki's not the capital today. In the movie, Nagasaki's the capital. That's a made-up detail. Like, if we can make up that detail, and the movie work, we can make up and change any other detail, and the movie should still fucking work.
It doesn't.
Realistically.
It doesn't work.
I feel like it really would.
No.
Yes.
You say yes, but it doesn't. Not all movies can be changed on a whim. Like that. I'm sorry.
If they're fantasy, yes.
Not even fantasy ones can't be changed on a whim that much.
Like, what possible detail could be so vitally fucking important to that story that revolves around it's set in Nagasaki? That, like, what's so important about that I can't change it to fit a different city and have it still make sense?
Probably haven't watched it, so I can't really delay the context overall. Because again, if I do, you say, oh, that doesn't make sense, it doesn't stand.
Gamer, I could have watched the movie 100 times and I would still hold this argument, mainly because I don't have enough of a grasp on Japanese culture to...
That's the point.
Like, I'm not asking you to explain the movie side of it, but it's like the same question of whether I'd seen the movie or not, of what is the cultural importance of that city being the plot, that I can't change that fucking plot point when it's a made-up movie. Like, the city is a real place, yes. The condition of the city is made up bullshit. Both in the terms of it being a capital and a fucking mega tech metropolis of super joy.
Well, then it is like it
you literally don't have that tech yet, gamer. No, it's not. Like,
no, Nagasaki currently is the center of technology development in Japan as a standpoint now.
Mm-hmm. But also, we don't have fucking Ghost in the Shell technology.
Not far off, actually.
We still don't have it though. We might be close to it. We ain't fucking got it though. So there's still made up bullshit going on here. You know, like, there's no level of made up that we can't just fucking make up more. Like, if we can make up the bullshit to make the fucking robots and shit work in the movie, and have that still make perfect sense despite being bullshit, we can change the location of it and have it make sense by making details change.
No.
Yes.
Unfortunately, I don't have 7 hours to go over Japanese law and the city law itself to give you the context you need for that one. It's it's one of those cases where you don't understand the culture behind it.
Mm-hmm.
It makes it very hard argument from my point of view to give it to you because you don't understand the context behind what I'm arguing about.
I would argue if the historical culture of Japan is so vital to the movie to work, if you don't understand Japanese culture, the movie doesn't work at all as a movie. It's a bad movie. If the movie cannot express on its own merit its story in completion, without you having a functional understanding of Japanese lore, it's just not good at its job as a movie of telling its story.
I disagree with you entirely, but
the entire point of a movie is to tell you a story, start to finish, in completion.
yes,
Upon its own merit. If the movie is incapable of doing that, which is the sole job of a movie, it's a bad movie.
no, because
Yes. A movie literally has one job, and it is tell its story.
yes,
If it can't do that without outside assistance of cultural knowledge, it has failed its only job as a movie.
no, because movies can have more than one story context behind it.
Correct.
Right?
But you still have to be able to deliver that story.
Because let's go off like Star Wars. Like there's two main plot points of Star Wars that overlap each other. A lot of people focus on particularly the hero arc rise of of Luke going through and fighting Palpatine.
Yes.
Then you have the other subcontext of the general global political ideology of the host of the Republic falling to the Empire and that type of stuff, and moving on from there.
Yes.
Right? Now, you don't have a critical understanding of how Republics can work and how Palpatine came to power, which does tell you in New Hope how that
I
happened.
would say that the movies as a whole, though, still deliver you the information you need to tell that story on their own. Even if you're like a 4-year-old dipshit that doesn't get politics, the movie lays out how we went from A to B. On its own, you don't need to understand politics for the movie to tell you this is what the politics were, this is what happened politically, this is why he's in charge, and this is why it's an empire now. It does that job on its own, with its own merits.
It's an argument we're not going to agree on at all. So I'd rather us have it.
No, it's like The Last Kingdom. You don't need to understand medieval culture to understand what the fuck happens in The Last Kingdom and why there's a war and why there's a crusade. Because the film tells you all of that.
I'm not going. I'm sorry, I'm not going to argue on it now because I will get very angry over it because it is one of my all-time favorite movies, and because you don't understand behind the cultural context of it, and that you keep making statements which annoy me to the.
See, that's the problem, though. It's like that's literally.
I'm
the
not-
point
I'm not-
making.
I'm not
If the
arguing about
movie
it.
can't explain itself. It's just bad at its job.
I'm not.
That doesn't make it not an enjoyable film. It just makes it bad at its fucking job of telling its story on its own.
No, I'm not getting the argument of it. Sorry, it's. You can go that way, but no.
Like, it's literally the point of every movie. Even like a historical documentary
I'm not.
is its own point of
Please don't push
here's
it.
the context.
Please don't push it. Because it. No, I'm not getting involved in it. Not one. I'm sorry.
You know I'm right.
You're not.
I really am.
You're not. You can do that, but no, I'm not.
Like, I'm not saying you can't enjoy it.
Just drop it, please.
I've got plenty of movies I like that like people would say are shit. Like, that's perfectly allowed.
I'm not saying it's a lot of people don't like the movie itself. It's no, I'm not. I'm getting myself angry over it now.
No, I'm not saying the movie is shit. I'm saying the movie's just not good at delivering its story, evidently.
It is good when doing a story.
You know, like if I don't understand Japanese culture, and that means I can't understand the point of the story, then it's not delivering its story. At least not on its own, which a movie should be able to do.
No, it's plenty of that don't do that on their own.
Name one other movie that isn't Ghost in the Shell that I would not understand without having some other base of knowledge. outside of maybe a language.
War of the Roses, the Marianne.
No, because the movie War of the Roses still gives you the context of what's happening of this part of England and this part of England don't like each other and are having a war.
No, because it didn't actually put in the context of the war itself.
That's only because, like, even historians don't really know the full context of the war outside of... They kind of fell out and some sheep got
Marie
involved.
Antoinette. There's another one that doesn't give the full context, but you do need for the...
Yeah, okay, I will grant you the movie Marie Antoinette, but also Marie Antoinette was not a good movie.
And that's... A lot of people disagree with you on that one.
Those people are fucking idiots.
Les Miserables was another one.
No, Les Mis does give you the context.
Not the full
I would say the original one, God no, doesn't give you the context. The newer one with Hugh Jackman actually gives you some historical context to work with of...
Yes, but...
Granted, it does it in song form, which makes it an inferior context, but still a context you can kind of grasp.
I'm going off the original ones.
In fairness, I've not seen the original Les Miserables.
You do need a lot of context of the French Revolutionary period. Or it doesn't actually make any sense of what's going on in the movie whatsoever.
So I would argue that original adaptation, then, is a bad adaptation. It's a bad film. It's not able to deliver its message on its own. The newer version with Hugh Jackman gives you that political knowledge as it goes,
I disagree entirely because some movies are made because context exists.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And without that context, some movies don't make sense without context.
Mm-hmm. But that movie should give you that context.
No, because the director assumes the context exists. You gotta remember, the Ghost in the Shell wasn't written for the Western market.
Mm-hmm.
It was written for the Japanese market, who have the context, grown up with the context of what's in the movie.
See, but what that forgets is, what if there's someone that's from Japan, but is not familiar with that area of Japan that the film is set in, so doesn't have that regional context of information? Because I would assume, right, that a guy from, say, Tokyo probably doesn't have the same cultural information as a guy from Nagasaki would have. Much like how me, as someone that grew up in Fife in Scotland, does not have the same Scottish cultural information as someone from Aberdeen. We are aware of each other's existence and we have jokes about each other based upon stereotypes, but I know next to fuck all about Aberdeen outside of they do cow farming there and they're all posh cunts. And someone from Aberdeen knows less than fuck all about Fife outside of we have a lot of sheep farms and we're all poor. You know, and there was a lot of coal farming happened there at one point in time. You know, like, I would wager this, like, a similar system would be in place culturally for any country.
No, not necessarily in Japan, because Japan has a very broad understanding of all cultures across. There's a few minor ones, but in general text, the very little of that regional divide.
I don't know Japan, so like, yeah, maybe you are correct there, but
apart from like a few like minor like deities and shrines,
yeah,
that differ between like, the two areas because like each shrine dedicated to a different entity in a sense.
Ow.
But like a lot of overarching principles are widely known amongst everybody.
Yeah.
And that.
Well, even then, make it idiot proof at the very least.
You know?
Because you could have a guy in Japan who's just fucking stupid, and therefore does not know that cultural information, who's not going to understand that movie. Despite being from the region and having no real excuse to not know the information, still doesn't know it. You know, that on its own is a reason to have that cultural context present, to explaining itself, to help explain the movie.
The problem is, with the cultural context that's in this, it require the movie to be 8 hours long.
Nah, I feel like, 8 hours of information cannot be all fucking relevant. Like, it should do it the way any other movie would do it, of as the information becomes relevant to the plot, quick explanation of it. You know, like if in 10 minutes time I need to know what, this god was called in Japanese culture, 10 minutes before that scene, let's have a quick scene where, maybe the character's in, a museum or some shit, and we get a little lecture by a museum leader.
Do you want to save that or throw it?
I just throw it. You know, there's ways to do that throughout the movie of You're gonna need this context in 5 minutes. Here's that context. You know, like.
I do agree, and sometimes there is a way of doing it, but with Ghost Town, because there's such much of the context needed, you'll be forever going to, instead of getting to the point in the movie, you'll be forever going to small shrines and small museums and everything else.
Just do a prologue at the start of the film then, like explaining the back context. Like a lot of films do. Or a lot of video games even do now. You know, little like pre-movie at the start of the movie. You know, maybe in a slightly different animation style, being like fucking, in the year 2034, the war began, the bombs fell. Before the bombs fell, we were the happy people. Yada 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 da. Cultural context you require. Then the bombs exploded, and now it's today. And then the movie begins. Right, little 5-minute spiel from a dude. Just someone named Gavin. Here's the exposition you're going to need to understand this fucking movie and the cultural reference and benefit. There you go, job done. Right, let's get into it.
Again, that'll be a very long prelogue to the movie.
Nah, I feel like you could probably have it smashed out in about 20 minutes.
No.
Yeah.
Still a 20-minute prelogue.
Yeah, not every minute detail of that culture is going to be that fucking important to know to get it. If it gives you the Cliff Notes version, you'll get it. Look at something like, say, Kingdom Come Deliverance, right? Historical video game set in a historical time period that politically was quite fucking complicated, alright? As the game loads you to the main menu, you have a 5-minute cutscene that gives you enough of a gist to figure it the fuck out. There was a king called Charles IV, he fucking died, his son Wenceslas was shit at his job, so his brother invaded from Hungary. His brother hired a bunch of cumin dudes, and that's why your village is on fire. That's the minimum context you need to understand what's going on. The rest is provided through experiencing the game.
No, I can understand. I can understand your point. Right, I do understand your point, but you're not grasping my point. Of is that there's just so much there. In Ghost in the Shell itself, right? There's two major plot points. Now, this is based on you've got the paramilitary organization trying to stop a terrorist attack and deal with the terrorism attack.
Right.
That's essentially what a lot of people who don't understand the culture get. Problem is that's not what the story the director was trying to tell. Because if you don't understand the context behind the cultural context behind it, you miss that's just the point of what Mario Oshii, who written and directed the movie, was trying to convey over.
Okay, I would argue then, right, if the story he was trying to tell wasn't paramilitary stops terrorists, he shouldn't have made a movie where paramilitary stops terrorists happens. If that's not the story he's trying to tell, why is that evidently the events of the movie if that's the message people are taking from the movie? No one watches Jurassic Park and doesn't go, the point of this movie is don't fuck with genetics. Because the entirety of the film is some scientists fuck with genetics and then some dinosaurs fuck shit up. There's no misinterpreting that. Because it's the events of the film.
Yes.
So if the story we're not trying to tell is paramilitary v terrorists, why is the events of the film evidently terrorists v paramilitary? Right, I'm working off of no...
That's the
basically
point.
No knowledge here, granted, but...
That's the point. I would have to explain the entire movie to you in detail. And we don't have the podcast time for that. So I'll be very... ding by the time I finished on it. It's one of the things I have to say...
I will fully admit, I'm arguing from a basis of ignorance here. I will fully admit that.
Yeah, and that's why it's hard trying to convey the point over of why he used the paramilitary organization in the first place, and why the secondary story he's trying to tell still needs the group as a whole to function as part of the story.
If it were me, right? Like if I were making this, just again working off of the information I have presented currently, right? If because I'm assuming the point of the movie is supposed to be the paramilitary is a thing, and the people within the paramilitary are being abused by those in power, and that's bullshit.
No.
Right? Based on the small plots and mini synopsis you gave me there, that's kind of what I took there, right? If that was the movie I was trying to make, we'd just do that. The movie would follow a small squad within the paramilitary. Terrorists come, fuck some shit up, and then by the end of the movie you find out that, oh wait, no, the terrorists are doing what they're doing because the generals of the paramilitary have been paying off dodgy people within our paramilitary group to fuck up their villages, and it's their revenge attacks and or defensive attacks.
Right.
That would get that point over.
I'm gonna start explain some stuff for it to work. Right. Do you know how politics works in Japan, in general terms?
No.
Essentially, in most politics, you have the prime minister, cabinet. You got the military, which generally holds quite a lot of political power.
Right.
Police force holds very little political power at all, if any at all.
Makes sense.
And then you got the final district, which one gets more power.
Right.
In Japan, the police force itself has a lot of political sway over everything. The military has virtually none.
Right.
In Japan. Also, the prime minister itself is, for lack of a better word, has the political might of a toadstool.
Okay.
Although he has power thingy, it's a case of if you ever use his power properly, right, it generally requires him to stand down. The Senate itself, or the Diet they call it, has 90% of the political power, and they're just a bunch of arseholes trying to poke holes in everything someone does.
Right.
The
president's a figurehead with no real power.
Yeah.
The real power is held by a bunch of old dickheads. It's basically the American political system with extra steps.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but it's more the Senate. Unlike the Senate in America, where people can't agree, in the Diet, everybody has their own agenda, which always constantly push.
Right.
Particularly around things now. Within Japan itself, as a governing system, you have what's called the public sector divisions.
Right.
Right. Now, each one of these sector divisions are responsible, in part, for a specific function of a government body. Mm-hmm. So you'll have public sector 1, which deals with diplomatic relations for foreign people coming over. Sector 2 deals with investigations around specific crimes. Mm-hmm. Section 3 deals with particularly water-based stuff and so on and so forth. In the movie, was main point public sector 9. Now, with in these public sectors themselves,
right,
they operate almost autonomously by their own. Mm-hmm. So the idea that the government although the government does screw them over, that's more into when you watch the series rather than the movie, right? Is that because they're actually autonomous, they don't require much overhead from the government. For the government's concerned, although people know they exist, it's a case of who are those? Sector 9. Oh, I thought they didn't exist, type thing. Now, the main context of the movie is cyberization is a large part of society at this point. Mm-hmm. So basically, you can replace the entire body apart from your brain itself with a full-on cyborg body.
Right.
Which is the norm in the area, or at least replacing bits of your body with cybernetics the norm. You can hook your brain straight to the internet and wander the internet via just sitting there and thinking about it.
Basically cyber surf, yeah.
Yeah. In the movie as a start point is terrorist attacks start to happen, which Sector 9's main problem is to deal with terrorism and acts of terrorism, political corruption within the country itself.
Right, and that happens in the movie.
That
in the movie.
Yes.
Right. All I'm saying, you've literally just explained all of the context, and evidently required to understand the movie, and began explaining the start of the movie in more than enough time to have it be a prologue to the movie.
The problem is that's not the main context of the story.
It's still enough to work with, though.
Because
it's enough to set up the world for the events of the movie to to give me the context of all, to piece it together.
Right, I'm not finished yet because Because one of the main points of the movie, right, is the main character, Major Motoko. Right? The main terrorist to find out is actually an AI who becomes sentient.
Right.
Right? Now, Motoko, who's the main character of it, she's the very first human to go full cyberization.
Which I'm assuming the movie tells you that information.
No. You find that out towards the end of the movie, and even then it's...
So there is information presented in the movie at some point.
Yes, but it's one of those like offhanded comments that you don't... Unless you're watching for it, doesn't really register in your brain very easily.
And you're still gonna hold the point that this movie's telling its story effectively.
Yes.
When such a crucial plot point to understanding its plot is a throwaway detail that is incredibly easy to miss.
It is easy to miss if you don't understand the cultural context behind what's going on.
And you still think I'm wrong for saying it's just clearly bad at delivering its point then?
Yes.
Like, the movie requires all this information to understand. It gives you one piece of the information as a throwaway line. None of the rest of the information. Yet somehow you're willing to argue it's still good at delivering its message.
Yes.
When it can't deliver the information you need to understand its message.
Yes.
That would be like that would be like if like Star Wars, the entire plot of Star Wars happens, but never does it explain what a Jedi is outside of it has a lightsaber. You see how little sense any Star Wars movie would make if they never gave you any fucking explanation whatsoever to what a Jedi is outside of it has a laser stick. Can you imagine how shit that movie would be? That's the movie you're describing to me right now, but it's about computers and it's set in Japan instead of space. It's a movie that requires information to understand its point and doesn't give you that information. Making it, on its own, a completely ununderstandable movie. Like...
But to me, it's not.
See, but that's the problem. Like, to you, it's not because you know that that cultural information.
Yes.
But if the movie isn't able to provide that cultural information on its own, when you need that information to get what the fuck it's on about,
Yes.
it's not a good film.
But like I'm saying though, the director and the writer wrote it with respect to the people who already have that context in hand.
See, that's just not a good idea.
But that's how a lot of Japanese media is written.
Doesn't mean it's a good idea to do that.
For them it is, because they do have the context at hand.
Yes, but also the Japanese have well been established as a very xenophobic people. Like...
Right, and?
The fuck you mean and? Like if a racist dude does a thing, you don't do that thing on instincts, do you? Like, you extra scrutinize the actions of the racist because he's racist, so it's probably a bad idea. It's the same thing with if a xenophobe does a thing, there's a good chance it's probably a bad fucking idea, because xenophobia is a bad idea and they did it.
Well, America's still technically xenophobic.
Yeah, fair. I was gonna try and argue, no, you're right, they are, but still.
Yet we still
At least in their media, they're not that xenophobic. Like, they still make their movies with the cultural context in it for you to understand what's going on. You know, like...
Yeah, because most people...
you don't have to know the context of what happened in World War II to understand the plot to Saving Private Ryan. Because it tells you what you need to know to get the gist.
I can see your point, but also you're not seeing my point over it.
I am. I'm just disagreeing with your point.
And I'm disagreeing with your point.
Like, Like, my point is, if a movie cannot deliver all the necessary information on its own to tell its story, it has not told its story. It's told a bit of its story.
Yeah, I'm not agreeing with that.
Like, if it can't deliver its full story on its own, it's bad at its job. You know, like the Hobbit trilogy, for example, right? Start to finish of the story, yeah, doesn't get it all out in one go, right? Right, you don't go from the Shire to the Dead Dragon in one movie. Granted. But you still get from a start point to a finish point and have all the necessary information happen to understand what the fuck's going on here.
The problem is that the problem with the argument is the whole reason The Hobbit was written, right, is because people didn't get the context needed from Lord of the Rings, which came out first by a long way. Context of how the fuck did Frodo get the ring.
See, but that information is given to you in the movie. Bilbo has the ring.
How did Bilbo get it?
Gandalf takes the ring off him, gives it to Frodo because it's evil. Frodo needs to get to the fucking
yes,
Mordor
but then in case of
to
like,
destroy it.
there's reference context in it of like how Bill got the ring, something about a dragon.
Yeah, and it
and
still
a bit about
tells
the
you the
dwarf.
information of how did Bilbo get the ring in the little mini prologue at the start of the film. Of there was an evil guy. He made a shit ton of rings. One of the rings was evil.
Yes.
A different guy named fucking Smeagol got his hands on it via some fuckery because it fell in a river. Then Bilbo robbed Smeagol of the fucking ring, and now it's kind of Bilbo's problem.
The problem is though,
Like, it gives you that context.
the problem is though, right? In the original, like A book and B movie, because one we watched, everyone recognised now was not the original. That prologue you're on about didn't exist,
Then the original release of that film was a bad attempt.
right? It didn't exist in the books either.
Yes, because there was already a book there to give you that information.
No.
There was two, technically. The Book of the Hobbit and the Silmarillion.
No, because
Because remember, J.R.R. Tolkien's Silmarillion came up before the other Lord of the Rings novels.
Silmarillion did,
Which
but
gives
the Hobbit,
you that world context.
but the Hobbit came out after Lord of the Rings.
No, the book version...
Book version of
the
the Hobbit
books
came out...
was the Silmarillion, then the Hobbit, then
No,
Lord of the Rings.
it was Lord of the
Yes.
Rings, then the Hobbit.
No. With the movies, it was Lord of the Rings, then the Hobbit. With the books, it was the Silmarillion, then the Hobbit, then the Lord of the Rings. That released. They released in the appropriate order.
No, sure, Hobbit.
That's why people were pissed off when they made the Lord of the Rings, then the Hobbit, for the movies.
There you go, Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, Silmarillion, the letter, the fuck's that say? The Lost Road,
Other Writings.
and Other Writings. Poems from the Hobbit. I've heard that's a good book actually.
Well,
and,
Poems from the
Great
Hobbit.
Tales. That's not even all of his books though. Is the problem? There's like 6 of them.
There's one. Right, Books of Lost Tales, Volume 1 and 2, Lizard Billion, Ship in the Middle Earth, Lost Road to Hobbit, Return of the Shadows, The Treason of Isengard, War of Rings.
Yeah. So okay. So the Hobbit was out before even the Silmarillion. Then even I'm fucking wrong. What order should I read them in?
That's the reading. So, Book of Lost Tales, Lizard Billion, Ship in the Middle Earth, Lost Road to Hobbit, Return of the Shadow, Isengard, Rings, Sauron's Defeat Part, First Part, People of Middle Earth, First Part, then Lord of the Rings, Notion Club Papers.
Okay, even I was wrong. The Silmarillion was one of the last books he wrote
Yeah,
in the
that
series,
one.
but even still. things still came out in an order where you could understand what was going on because it was presenting the context appropriately.
So I'm pretty sure, and I was reading them, The Hobbit came out after Lord of the Rings itself.
No, The Hobbit was way before Lord of the Rings. You know, like my point for it is though, is like it'd be like if they brought out the first Hobbit movie, right? The very first one, right? It gets all the way through, right? All the way through, right? And then fucking, like you know the bit where fucking, I'm thinking of the last movie I've just realized, but fuck it, I'm gonna continue my point anyway. Even if it's gonna be factually, like, well, not factually, but detailically wrong, I'm gonna go for it anyway, right? Fuck it. We go all the way through, right, to the, like, in one movie, right to the bit where your man Thorin fights that big pale bastard, right, on that, like, ice lake, right?
Right.
Gets all the way there, right, and then halfway through the fight, the movie cuts, right? That's the end of the movie. Then the second movie opens with the rest of that fight, and then a massive exposition dump to explain the previous movie.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of the information you're going to need for the rest of this movie. That would be terrible storytelling. We've rushed the entire story, and we've rushed it so badly, we've now had to make a second movie to not only finish the first story, but now explain that story in better detail and give you more information. That'd be terrible fucking storytelling. Right? What I'm proposing is a better idea, and it's proven to be a better idea because most movies that are considered by 90% of people to be good storytelling open up with little snippet of information that is vitally important detailing. Plot begins, you learn the rest of the context as the characters learn it, and we go from point A to point B to point C to finale. Like, that's just basic storytelling of, I'm going to tell you a story, you need this context, here is the context. Okay, now here's the story.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I was going to tell you about, like a story that happened to me, when I was, like, 19, I would need to give you the information ahead of time, like, at the start of the story of, so back when I was 19 years old or so, right, I was living in this location, right, I was out with this friend, and this friend, and we were doing X. And then I'd lead into what happens in the story that is of interest.
Yes.
That is the point of what I'm
But
going
then,
to tell.
you're telling another story from when you were 19, right? You already assume I knew the context from our previous talk about about your 19-year-old area, right? To continue on telling the story.
Yes, if I literally just finished that first 19-year-old story and was about to do another story of being 19, but I would still give you that preface of another story from when I was 19 is.
Right?
And then give you the extra context for this next story.
But if you write a story based on the assumption that the people who generally consuming your media already know the context you're referring to, right, you wouldn't need to put it there.
I would still put it there. Because there's always that chance that, like, if I was writing a book, for example, right, and, like, it's like a continuation based on information from my previous books, I would still reiterate that information. Because A, it's a chance to correct, like, maybe an error I previously made with that information, but also it's on the off chance of, what if this is some cunt's first time reading anything I've written? They're not going to have that information to work off of, therefore they're going to be confused as fuck. Yes.
But again, though, when Ghost Ship came out, it was, I think, released 96, I believe, on the top of my head, is the Western media who didn't have the context knowledge, right, still wasn't very consuming a great deal amount of, it was still a very niche thing that people were consuming of the Japanese, like, manga and anime at the time. It was still a very niche thing, right? I think the only thing that I generally consumed while was Dragon Ball, but I got so Americanized that no one could tell the difference with Japanese or not to begin with. Even I couldn't with a kid when I first saw it. Right? And again, the Dragon Ball didn't quite much context, to be honest. It's basically a martial arts movie.
Yeah, and even then, like, when you do need context for Dragon Ball gives you that context about its world and its universe and the story it's telling you. It tells you what you need to know as it becomes relevant. You know, like when you get to the point in Dragon Ball where you need to know what a fucking Super Saiyan is, It explains what a Super Saiyan is. Or
Yeah.
at least as much of what a Super Saiyan is for you to understand what the fuck is going on.
Yes, but that's down to how the directors. It's hard to put. Each writer and director have their own way of doing the worldview. Because like
Yes.
Mariachi uses a lot of real world contexts in these writings,
Yes.
where other ones take a lot more liberal view of their context. Well, we didn't have some small world building scenarios in it. Mm-hmm. Where Mariachi takes a lot of real context. Contextual cues, which he assumes as a writer, the people consuming these media already have those context cues built.
See, the problem
into
there
the
though
cloud.
is that really heavily dates your work. Making those like assumptions of people are going to know this context. Like look at look at Shakespeare's writing. Mm-hmm. Right? At the time that Shakespeare wrote his shit, made perfect fucking sense. Right? Because the cunts alive at the time, they knew what those words meant. They
Yes.
used those words all the fucking time. They knew what was going on. It makes perfect sense. If you try and read Shakespeare's shit today, you have to Google fucking words and go, what the fuck does that word mean?
I didn't.
Oh, that's what that word means. Oh, I fucking see. Right, now I understand what we're talking about. Because it's been, what, 400 fucking years since Shakespeare wrote that shit down?
Give it to you.
A lot of, not just cultural, but language context has fucking changed. You know, like the most famous one that everyone fucks up is Romeo, Romeo, wherefore art thou Romeo?
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, everyone assumes it means Romeo, Romeo, where the fuck are you, Romeo?
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't. It means something completely fucking different. I used to know exactly what it means. I don't anymore. It's been like a decade since I gave a shit. Like, you know, like writing a piece of media, especially a story, and making those assumptions of people will know the context, completely negates the fact that culture especially evolves over time. In 100 years, the cultural context could be wildly fucking different in Japan to what it is today versus and what it was when Ghost in the Shell was made or / written. Mm-hmm. Meaning in 100 years from now, even people that live there might not know what the fuck is going on in the movie. Meaning in 100 years, the movie becomes completely fucking worthless because no one's gonna know what the fuck is going on.
Right.
Like,
I'm still waiting for the but here.
because it's no bar. It's like that's just
That's
my
how a
point.
lot of media is anyway.
I disagree because the movie like any other piece of media will give you the important bits of context. At least any other good, well written piece of media will give you.
That's
the
down to your
context
opinion
you
of what
need
well-written piece of
actual
media
proof.
is. That's down to your opinion what a well-written piece of media is. Of it.
No, that's down to like the very definition of a well-written piece of media. A well-written piece of media has to be able to deliver its message upon its own merits, without extra assistance.
No, that's
If I have to read an entire book to understand a movie, the movie isn't doing its job.
Yes, but those cultural norms that's in the movie are based on everything you do anyway in everyday life, or beliefs that are generally prevalent within the area you are.
Mm-hmm.
Then you don't need that kind of context.
Granted, I wouldn't as someone who lives there, but if someone that doesn't live there watches that film, they wouldn't need that information. So the movie should have that information.
Yes, but if you're writing things for local consumption, you don't care what the rest of the world thinks. Shit.
See, again, my point comes down to what about in 100 years' time when culture changes, where people may not have that cultural knowledge around anymore. You know, like it completely ignores that well documented event of culture shifting constantly, causing old pieces of information to become either lost or incredibly hard to know. You know, even a lot of Western media from about 100 years ago suffers with that problem of
Yes.
it's hard to fully understand without studying hard to understand, because the cultural context is completely different now to what it was 100 years ago.
Yes. I'm not denying you that fact of it. But on the other hand, though, a lot of media is written, even to today's standards, right? Unless it's a fantasy media itself, right? Is written with you have a base understanding of the culture it is written in and why.
No, I argue it. Like modern media only really needs you to know the language it's in, not the culture, because it will explain the parts of the culture you need to know as it goes.
No, not necessarily.
Usually, yes.
No.
Yes. As long as you understand the language,
The problem is
it will tell you the rest.
the problem with
you need to
cultural
know.
norms is it gets so normalized that you don't realize that it's a cultural norm. Like we can easily consume a lot of American media because the Americanized media itself is our cultural norm for understanding context. Right? Now you can take a modern Chinese movie or not. There's some cultural context in there that doesn't make sense. Like one of the main ways you refer to someone older than you is as brother, even though they're not your actual brother itself. Right? That's a foreign concept to a lot of people who consume Chinese meat. Like Western try to consume Chinese meat. It's like, oh, so that's the brother. No, it's not his brother. It's happens to be like a family friend. But why it's called brother? Well, it's
It's the Chinese equivalent, like here in Western countries, calling like an older person who's a friend of the family like an uncle when they're not your blood uncle. It's the same kind of a gist, I would assume.
sort of, but not quite. It's
Close enough for the sake of conversation. Like,
yeah, it's more down to how the older brother is more. It comes down to like old kung fu speak, where the older brother, the older disciple's brother to the family of disciples, that type of thing. It's
See, that's the thing I mean though. Is like that is cultural context that improves the idea, but isn't necessary to get the base point. The base point of the context is it's a term of like respectful endearment for an elder. The extra cultural context there of it comes from kung fu, it exists because of this reason. Yes, it adds extra information that may increase understanding and or enjoyability, but it's not crucial to understand the basic idea that's going on.
what is because
All you need is that basic idea of it's a respectful term of endearment for an older member of society.
yeah, the problem is there's nothing
Even with
old,
just that basic grasp, you get the
but
point.
you miss the context because it's not just for an old member of society. Because the person you call brother who technically is higher than you could be younger than you.
But
In
even
that-
then,
in that same context, it's
it's a respectful term of endearment. Even with that loosest minimum grasp of the idea, you get enough information from that explanation to get the idea of what's going on.
yes,
You can piece the rest together as you go.
but still a context that has to be explained to somebody who doesn't understand, who's never come across it before. In that, but for the Chinese writing, it's so common to use in the context that doesn't require explanation. Like say when you we use the term like auntie to describe like an old family who's been there for God knows how long. You'd refer them as auntie or uncle as a normal standpoint. To people in the Asian market, that context is confusing
Yes.
because you would never dare call someone auntie or uncle if they weren't directly blood related to you.
Yeah.
Even like great aunties and uncles, you wouldn't call them auntie and uncle because they're not directly blood related to your
Yeah.
thingy. And it's that kind of cultural context which trust is ingrained, is normalized,
Yes.
but to them it's not, and it's vice versa. There's some stuff like when Ghost Shell was written that in cultural that it was just the norm that you wouldn't think about.
See, those pieces of like cultural information of like, oh, you wouldn't call like your great auntie and things like that. Isn't there like there's no possible story you could tell where it is that vital to know that to not understand the plot.
I mean, it's a very basic one
Like,
for that point, but there are some like more cultural context, like around certain points of like how the religion works, which again to the Japanese,
then the movie should explain that.
why? Why should I explain that when the movie's written for that
Because
mark?
it's a religious aspect.
Yes, but
Say again, in 100 years, if that like, say God
Yes, but
forbid
he's
there's a
not-
war, right?
he's not writing for 100 years old. He's writing for the context of now.
See, and that's the problem.
Why? Why should he care about 100 years down the line?
Because the entire point of a piece of art, which is what all media is, it's an expression of art is supposed to be timeless, where anyone can
No, art's
ingest
subjective.
it at any point in time and understand what's going on.
Yeah, but art itself is subjective
Yes,
as a media.
it is subjective, but it should still be digestible at any point in time.
Yes, but it doesn't mean you know it's a. You know,
You may not always get the correct story from it, but you can still pick up the key points. Like if we take a painting from 1807,
right.
a culturally completely different world than what we live in right now. We take a painting from there, and that painting is supposed to tell us a story.
Mm-hmm.
We may not have the cultural information to get that story completely accurate, but we will have, at the very least, enough cognizant awareness to look at that painting and go, what's happening in this painting?
Okay, then.
Okay, there's a guy on a horse
Okay,
who's stabbing a guy not on a horse. They're clearly
hang on.
enemies.
Hang on, I'll
Therefore,
take.
this is about a war.
I'll take a challenge because I know the answer to what I'm going to give you.
Mm-hmm.
Right, Van Gogh's Sunflowers.
Mm-hmm.
Go on then, quote on that one.
I have no fucking clue. Because I don't give a shit about Van Gogh or his art. He was a marginally decent painter. That's pretty much all I know about Van Gogh outside of he was a bit nuts.
Bit nuts, but the point of the Sunflowers was, because given the context, was Van Gogh set up a commune for artists.
Yeah, you get used to that, it's fine.
Set up a commune of artists where he believed it was a. I can't remember the name of the painter itself. One painter was the Jesus of artists.
Right.
The sunflower paintings were done to adorn 13 rooms in the compound
Right.
for the 13 disciples of this artist.
Okay.
Problem is, only the artist turned up and the rest of the disciples didn't turn up.
Okay.
That's what context behind the sunflowers itself. Hence,
The thing is, though,
each painting
you
has.
do not need that context to understand the painting being a painting of fucking sunflowers.
Yes, but that's the point.
Because it tells you what it is. Because the painting is literally called Sunflowers.
Yes.
And what's in the painting? Fucking sunflowers.
Yes, but the
Context
begin.
is there.
It's not though, because the context he wanted for the sunflowers, which each painting has a different number of flowers in it. Each representing from 1, 2, 3, round to 13
Right.
for the rooms of the disciples.
Right.
That's the context of what the paintings were. They're not just a picture
Yeah,
of
that's the overarching story of the paintings. The individual paintings themselves it's just a painting of a fucking sunflower.
Yes.
That's all that's going on there. You put them together, you get an overarching narrative.
Hence
on their own.
my point with Ghost in the Shell. Without the context, you'd have seen a movie about paramilitarization taking out terrorists. With the actual context of what the actual context that's normalized over there, you get a completely different story.
And again, if the movie cannot... Because a movie's got way more time to tell you shit than a painting does. If a movie cannot give you its story and the necessary information to digest and understand its story in 2 fucking hours, it's fucking something up.
It's not, because the context is already there.
Yeah, if you live in fucking Japan!
Where the media is designed to be consumed.
And that's the entire fucking problem with the film. It doesn't take into account, what if someone who doesn't live here watches this, and what if in, again, 100 years' time, this country's cultural context is completely fucking different.
Yes, but writers
No
don't.
one will get the movie then.
Yeah, but writers don't care about that. No one,
Then they're shit fucking writers.
even writers nowadays, right, doing modern movies, don't give a shit about 100 years down the line.
Yes, they fucking do.
No, they don't.
Any writer worth his salt writes a story that in 100 years' time will still be at the very least digestible.
Yes.
Where someone can read it,
The movie still
have
is-
the information from doing that to understand the story.
No.
Yes.
You're wrong.
Yes.
Maybe in a book form, possibly. But
Even in a movie.
No, no.
Any movie writer worth their salt gives you the minutest amount of information you're going to need to understand this movie through and through.
Yes, but still.
All they ask is that you speak the fucking language the movie's been made in.
Yes, but even like modern movies still have cultural contexts which, unless you know about them, are miss the rest of the fucking world.
Yes, but those cultural contexts is they're either explained well enough to kind of get the fucking point enough to understand the movie, or they are so fucking irrelevant to the story it doesn't matter if you know what it is or not. Like take a baseball movie for example, where a key piece of information to know for the movie would be what the fuck is baseball. You still don't need to already know what the sport of baseball is, because the film's going to give you enough information to figure it out of it's a sport where you hit a ball and some points are scored. Because the point of the movie is not the rules of baseball. The point of the movie is teamwork and friendship. Look at the Mighty Ducks. You don't need to know the rules of ice hockey to get the movie The Mighty Ducks.
Right, yeah, but Mighty Ducks is a very simplistic movie. If you're writing a story with a cultural context as another ones, right, you're not going to have time to put out every cultural context needed into the movie.
But you have enough time to give them enough to get the fucking idea.
Yes,
I'm not saying they have to put every minute fucking detail of Japanese culture into this movie. I'm saying give me, verbally speaking, during the movie, at some point, the most crucial bits for me to not completely miss your point as a movie. If the movie cannot do that, then the movie shouldn't be a movie. It should be a different form of art so that it has time to give out its information. Like a book.
Yes.
Because books don't have time limits, movies do.
Yes, but again though, if you're writing a novel from the point of view like, this is normalised in my area, where it's rather than media consumed.
Keep in mind, I have written a novel.
Yes, you have written a novel. Right? You know the context already exists and people understand the context.
No, even in my own novel, which you've read, you know I don't give a lot of context in that novel. Because a lot of the world's context is not vital to the fucking story. In 4, 5, 6 books down the line, where it's going to be relevant information, it will be brought up and given to the reader because it's going to become fucking important. In that first book, you don't need to know why the world has gone to shit to get the book. All you need to know is that the world has gone to shit.
Yes, but that is your choice as an artist. Or as a writer to do that. Right? Other writers take their own choices, assuming something exists which is normalised for them, and just writing about it.
If they're not able or willing to explain it, they're just stupid.
No, because they already assume that the people don't understand it.
See, that's what they're assuming. You shouldn't, especially as an artist, you should never assume people are going to understand what the fuck you're on about. Look at how frequently even the most obvious pieces of media art are misinterpreted all the time. You know, fuck it. Even shit as on the nose as like the video game Metal Gear Rising Revengeance, right? The most on the nose political just assassination possible of right wing politics. And people still don't understand that video game is taking the piss out of the right wing politics. When it's not even the subtext of the game, it is just the text of the game that, like, right wing American politicians are fucking stupid. That is the text of the game, and people still didn't get that. Now, if people can be that fucking stupid, with or without cultural context, then people can be stupid enough to misunderstand literally fucking anything. Which is why you need to explain your shit as it becomes important, and never make assumptions about whether or not cunts are gonna know something. If you're gonna make an assumption, the assumption should be the person reading this is fucking brain dead.
That's your opinion on the matter.
It's not an opinion, it's an objective fact of 99% of media gets misinterpreted. Usually by morons.
Right, I'm sorry.
So assume the guy reading it is the moron that's going to
Okay, I'm going to end this argument here because I'm not Mariyoshi, so I don't know why he did that way. But he did.
Okay.
Right? So there's nothing to change about the fact that that's how the story is written.
See, I'm not asking you to change it. I'm arguing that it was just a bad idea.
Not always.
It was a poor execution.
In your opinion, it is.
Yes.
In his opinion, it wasn't.
His opinion is wrong and he should feel bad.
That's, again, your opinion on it. He's considered one of the best Japanese manga artists and directors of all time.
I disagree. Like, if he can't write a story that gives me the information I need to understand its story, it's not a good fucking story.
I want to agree to disagree with him because we're getting very heated over it now and it's giving me a headache. I don't think this is one we're going to meet on any kind of middle ground on.
Like, all I'm saying, right? right, is like
Which you keep saying.
take like the movie fucking like Aragon, right? You know the movie about the guy that finds a dragon egg.
I was going to end the conversation because we're going around in circles now.
Like if you want
No,
to watch that
no,
movie with
no.
no clue what a dragon is.
No, we're going around in circles, so
the movie explains dragons.
we're going around in circles. Right? So there's no point continuing.
I mean, in fairness, Field, there's no point in doing anything we do on this show. Like, this entire show is us just fucking around, in fairness.
It is, yes, but I'm getting tired of this.
Even when we talk important shit like politics, there's literally no point. We're not gonna fix it, are we?
Oh, I'm not. No, I'm not going to put up with that one that way, no. The point I'm making is we both come to a different conclusion, and you're very staunch in your views of it.
Yes. But I would argue that you are also very...
Yes,
like,
because I understand
stuck in your
I understand the context of why he did it. You're just not accepting why he did it for, and
No, I accept why. I just argue that it is a stupid reason to do something.
but it's not.
It is. Assuming that people are smart is never a good idea.
Assume your culture, pure in your culture, understand your culture, is not a stupid thing. I'm sorry,
I mean, yeah.
it isn't.
Like if I was gonna write a book about Glasgow and publish it only in Glasgow for the people of Glasgow to read, I would still explain every minute piece of Glaswegian fucking culture I'm going to reference and use for that story, on the off chance a copy escapes Glasgow. Because a guy from Edinburgh ain't gonna get most of that context unless it's fucking explained.
That's your choice. Doesn't make it right or wrong, but that's your choice on the matter.
It does, it's just sensible.
It's not.
It's sensible to cover your arse. Because again, like, even if a copy never escapes Glasgow, no one outside of Glasgow ever reads it. There's some dense motherfuckers in Glasgow. You can guarantee at least one guy in Glasgow is going to read that and not have a fucking clue. So you write it so even that dipshit will get the story.
Oh, what's the now? I don't care that much. Anyway, what time is it? 11 o'clock. Yeah,
Ow! 23:51's like 10 to midnight.
yeah.
Well, 9 to midnight, but fuck it, 10 to midnight, close enough. We'll round down.
That could be fake.
Yeah, that's just bullshit.
Cause I'm sorry, look, I thought it was like real Pokemon shit there for a second.
I thought it was like like them spiky rubber dog toys they make.
Yeah.
You know the ones I want about? Like they've got like the ribs and little spikes and shit, and like a little hole in the bottom. Yeah, that's
175 second Avenue 10-4, that's 56K?
slightly aggressive AI generated, but the AI generated sound effects on the other hand are not as impressive, but here and there. Quite impressive. I don't find it impressed by the quality. Spark effects are pretty. Eh, 6 out of 10. Well played, YouTube. Well played. 6 out of 10. I know the people at home didn't get any of that, but still.
Yeah.
All you got was the sound effects, but...
Essentially, it's the polar bear version of slow Slowbro. That Pokemon.
That ain't a Pokemon thing, I'll tell you that for free.
It is actually.
No, there ain't a Pokemon that eats polar bears from the arse first.
Hang on.
What are you gonna Google? What Pokemon eats polar bears arse first? You're gonna get us put on a watch list if you try and Google that. Okay, first off, that's not a polar bear.
Yes, but it's
That's like an armadillo lizard. Second off, I see what you mean, yeah. Like, kind of, yeah. But also, that's not a polar bear, fuck you.
It's a polar bear. No, but you can.
That's like a
That Pokemon evolves.
platypus lizard thing?
No, it's a bear.
Armadillo platypus?
It's a bear. It's
No, because bears don't have, like, armor ridging at the stomach.
in the
So that's like a platypus
in the context
lizard.
of the Pokemon lore. It's a bear. So it's written in the Codex as a bear, and the way it evolves into that
I disagree with the Pokedex, because that ain't a fucking bear.
is. Can you remember?
It's like a platypus lizard.
Yeah, in the context of actual Pokemon itself. Can you remember Shouder, the clam thing you picked up now and again?
Yeah.
That
That piece of shit.
yeah, that bites onto the tail of a Slowpoke, allowing it to stand upright, and the clam and the Shouder to come out of the water. That's just the context of how that Pokemon evolves.
You know, at this point, that kind of makes sense for Pokemon, and it's one of the reasons I'm glad I don't pay attention to Pokemon's lore. I just pay attention to the stats of side of Pokemon.
Yeah.
You know, like, I'm one of these motherfuckers that used to EV farm Pokemon on PokeMMO. Like, I was one of those degenerates with Pokemon for a good number of years.
Yeah, but generally, as in the lore, Pokemon it refers to as the as a bear slash more like the honey bear type thing,
See, it shouldn't.
and that.
It shouldn't, because that's just not a bear. None of that is a bear.
What do you-
Except
what-
maybe the ears.
What's even worse is the water type as well. Even Slowbro, it's a water slash Psychopod type.
See, that at least makes sense. I can follow the story, the idea there. You know, like, you got a fish on the tail. There's your water.
Yeah.
You know, like, it's pink and it's got weird eyes. So yeah, it's probably psychic. Like, I can see the math that happened there. I can follow the program to why that's a psychic water type. I can look at that and go, probably psychic. Oh look, it's got a fish on its tail. It's gonna have water power. You know, like that kind of makes sense. You can
Yeah.
follow the program.
Those are correct in the Pokedex claims that it's the most dumbest Pokemon ever to exist.
No, that's Psyduck, and we all know that it's Psyduck.
No, Psyduck has a headache.
Yeah, but Psyduck's also fucking stupid.
No, just misses.
Psyduck is the only Pokemon I could ever accuse of being dumb enough to walk headfirst into a wall.
No, that's just Missy's particular Psyduck that's that dumb.
No, I think all Psyducks are that stupid. I genuinely, like, I wouldn't let a Psyduck cross a road on its own. Because I don't think a Psyduck would be smart enough to look both ways. Or any way other than forwards. Like, Psyduck, the type of Pokemon that would get hit by a speeding bus on the I-19.
Yeah. Speaking of political things, I've watched the dip when you were upstairs. Apparently, remember about Germany ramped up its military production?
Yes.
Right, apparently there's currently going on, at the moment, a conference in France of
Yes.
Europe.
Yes, there is.
They're putting together a 700 billion military defense fund
Yes.
for the entirety of Europe to ramp up their
Yes.
military.
Yes.
And they're expecting to, and basically, they will spend this over the next 6 months
Yes.
to increase all the military power across in the next 6 months alone.
Yes.
Because of stuff Trump's been spouting off out of these.
Yes.
Because everyone thinks Trump's trying to pull out of NATO.
Yes.
Which
There's
is
just one small flaw in this plan.
What's that?
That $700 billion spent across 6 months would increase Europe's overall military power by about 8%. If that.
It depends where they put it, shall we say.
Even then. Like, if they spent that $600 billion over a year and a half, would get some good results out of that. Would have a nice big jump in quality. 6 months isn't even enough time to really build a ballistic missile, realistically speaking. Not from scratch. Not at the point of starting with, let's smelt the material down to build this missile. You ain't doing that in 6 months.
No.
I
think...
So realistically, defense quality ain't gonna go up a lot in 6 months, no matter how much money we throw at the idea.
Yeah, I think what the plan is... They're not releasing the full plan yet, but I can make an assumption on what the plan is.
My assumption would be, upgrades and recruitment drives.
That's essentially... I've got a feeling they're going to upgrade, because we already have a lot of, modern tech anyway.
Yes. If I had 6 months and 700 billion, that would be my steps, would be upgrade the shit we have rather than build new shit, and mass recruitment drives.
I think at least about 2 billion is going to go into purchasing and building of new weapon systems and...
I'd put a little bit into R&D, because,
No,
that's
it's not going to be
sensible,
R&D, but in case of, the new, Challenger.
Yeah.
Is
Shit we've already researched and developed, just manufacturing, but I'd still put a little bit into R&D, just... put
Probably
$1 billion in R&D,
Yeah.
2 or 3 billion into manufacturing, the rest on just upgrade and...
I think the
reduce
bulk of it...
production of troops.
The bulk of it is going to be stockpiling vehicles and armaments and planes and stuff, which fair enough season have done. That will probably take a year to finish off.
Yeah, but
the
at
order.
least in the first 6 months you can get the ball rolling heavily.
A good 200 billion is going to be on increasing troop numbers. Mm-hmm. Say if France is...
I'd put a lot more into that personally. I'd put a good 400, but
They only got 700, and a good
still
chunk.
I'd put 400 into fucking manpower.
And get them equipped. So yeah, probably will be forward. We add equipment costs and everything else on top.
Yeah.
And base expansions on top of that. I think about $1 billion is probably going to be to update France's nuclear arsenal.
Yeah, about that, yeah.
And that, because Britain just recently done ours.
Yeah, we recently upgraded our shit, so...
Yeah, so we don't really need to upgrade any further. So, and then the rest is going to be basing us on beefing up the intelligence divisions.
Yeah.
Because we rely, for most of it, we rely heavily on American intelligence for most of our shit.
We do, to be fair.
And that. I mean, even though technically...
MI5 ain't what it used to be.
Collectively, we technically have more troops in America.
Yes.
I think it's 1.5 million troops in America, only has 1.3.
It's about that, yeah.
They can pull into a fight. So technically we have more troops, and theoretically more vehicles,
Yes.
but not enough to compensate,
Yeah.
shall we say.
Because while we have more shit, the Americans have higher quality shit for vehicles and equipment.
Yeah, because France has updated its shit in quite some time.
Yeah.
Germany hasn't got any shit, to be honest.
Yeah, it's Germany's just basically starting from scratch again after the Second World War.
Yeah, technically only England and Poland I think have up-to-date technology and munitions.
Spain still has some, not brand spanking new, but fairly good shit.
Yeah, I think it's still from the 80s though.
No, 90s.
90s.
1990s. I think their newest thing is 2007. And I think that's their current service rifle, I think, is an 07.
Yeah, but it's not a French model though.
No, I think it's an in-house now.
No.
I think they moved to an 07 blueprint that's in-house.
No, because I'm pretty sure it's I think Spain is using either the French Carbine 75 or it's using a variant of the Austrian AN.
Last I heard, and it was about 5 years ago I heard, but last I heard Spain was planning to move to essentially a Spanish version of the FAMAS.
Well, the FAMAS is Austrian.
Yes, the last I heard, about 5 years ago, they were basically they'd made their own bastard version of the FAMAS, and they were going to begin production on that. I don't know if that ever came to fruition or not. But last I heard, that was the plan for Spain. A service rifle is what you want, not main rifle.
Too good. It's actually Koch G36, so it's
That's
German.
a G46,
So it's German.
So evidently the plan to make a bastardized FAMAS didn't go through.
Yeah, they went for the German model.
Yeah. That's fair, because the G46 is a decent rifle.
It's a decent platform. It's a multi-modular platform.
Yeah, it wouldn't have been my first pick, but it's a solid pick at the same time.
The MP5 is a choice.
The MP5's fine.
I don't know if the MP5 is a decent.
Like it's still one of the most popular SMGs worldwide for military
Yeah.
operations.
So what we've got Helen Koch G36KE. And
I mean, shit, the SAS still favour the MP5, so
Yeah, they say it's not a bad one. It's just there are some better options out there in the market.
I don't know. Like if I was setting up a military force and I had to pick an SMG, I would pick the 5mm MP, the 9mm MP5.
Yeah.
I just said the 5mm MP9. Fuck yeah, you can tell I'm getting tired, but
I mean, a lot of people go through the Chris Vector.
yeah, but those people
It's-
are just objectively wrong.
Yeah, it's A heavy and B it's
It's
jams.
heavier than it should be.
And it jams like a bitch.
It really does. The Vector's a piece of shit. The MP5 at least works 99% of the time.
Yeah.
And again, very customizable, incredibly modular weapon.
I think the French are doing the same thing now, actually.
Yes, I noticed the French are still using the MP5.
No, they're using the FAMAS.
Yes, that's is their main battle rifle. I mean, I think they're still using the MP5 as like a. I mean, it's their like support SMG currently. I think it's like the SMG like their like mechanics and medics use, if I remember. But I may be mistaken.
Glock 17. Used by the French army since 2000 and by the Legion since 2021.
Isn't the Glock 17 a pistol?
Yes.
I was gonna say.
Replaced by the old PDA Mac 50 and the PMA Max G1 pistols, standard handguns. Some Legionnaires is not issued a pistol as part of its kit and usage in. That's for the Legion itself. New rifles, 2016 defense shows the HK 616 replaced the FAMAS. The HK 616 add modified version of the HK 685. The F in the HK stands for France. So it's basically built in-house version of the Helen Koch 416.
Basically, yeah.
What's it going to look like? 'Cause I haven't seen that one yet.
Let's find out.
Oh, it's essentially just a carbine.
It's a nice carbine, though.
Yeah, it's essentially just a rip off of the fucking yeah, it's using stand mags. Essentially rip off of the M4 short nose.
Yeah. Even then, like it's a nice rip off. Like I'd happily use that. Like I'm not seeing any major issues like right out the gate. So like yeah, I'd be happy to wield that on a battlefield.
I just think that's in the new Call of Duty games, isn't it?
No, we're still using M4s and XM4s and M14s.
Now, I'm pretty sure the carbines at the.
They're not
HK
carbines, but not that piece of shit.
That's
Because the new Call of Duty is set in the Gulf War.
look. This is.
I think it's the Gulf War.
So this is supposed to last until 2018.
Or was that the last Call of Duty that was the Gulf War?
Which one?
Black Ops 6. I can't remember if it's the Gulf War or a different war.
Black Ops 6 is. Does Black Ops have a campaign mode?
Yeah. I'm gonna tell you, almost every Call of Duty's had a campaign mode. I can think, like, there's I think 2 that doesn't have a campaign. And that was Black Ops 4 and
Black Ops 4.
another one.
Black Ops 4 definitely don't have a fucking.
Yeah, because it was literally only a multiplayer game.
Set during Operation Desert Storm.
Desert Storm.
Which one? There's been 2.
Presumably the first one. Just Google what war is Black Ops 6. It was 1990s,
So be
which is still technically the Cold War. I will grant you that much, Google, but
which would have been the second Desert Storm then,
yes, I think it is the second one then.
because everyone assumes that the 2000 War on Terror was the second Desert Storm, but it's not.
No, it was technically like the third, maybe
Third, yeah.
fourth.
Because the first one was in the 80s.
Yeah,
Then we had the second one. Then we had the Iraq War.
yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, it'd be the second Desert Storm.
second Desert Storm. Yes, that was right. Yes.
Yeah. Low-key good game, but
I've yet to play campaign mode on it yet.
Hmm?
I've yet to play campaign mode on it.
yes. No, I did, like I did my usual with Black Ops 6. I do every Call of Duty game of I do the campaign first, then go play multiplayer. Decent story. It's pretty good.
I give it a bash with like 7 to my PlayStation. God knows how long. To be honest.
Yeah. It's a bit of a head fuck sometimes, but
Wow, it's heavy.
by the end of it, you get roughly what was going on.
Wow, this gun's heavy.
How much is it? I can't read that from here.
The short barrel version is 3.7 kilos.
That's not too bad.
That's still quite heavy for most. It's around the 2 kilo mark.
Eh,
And the long barrel version is 4 kilos long.
even that's not too bad.
Still a bit heavy for a modern rifle.
Eh, still.
I mean, that's the original version. That's the original mount. Ow, my eyes.
Like fuck, I could work with worse.
That one there, I do know. I've seen in Warzone.
Yes, you can ostensibly make that out of the M4 in Warzone. Minus one of the gadgets.
What's that?
That weird front sight before the holoscopic sight. Take that bastard off it, and yes, you can make that in Warzone using an XM4. You put the exhaust barrel mount on it, then the that'll be, I think it's called the Titan suppressor. Commando front grip. I think it's the Regis Holotech sight. And
combi
then the wrapped mag, and you'll have that.
That's a combi sight.
No, EOTech. That was it. The EOTech holo sight. That's what it's called.
I guarantee that's
EOTech.
flip down Argyle scope from there for starters.
Yeah, because in like every Call of Duty that has attachments, you can only have one optical attachment at a time, with the exception of a laser. You can have a sight and a laser at the same time, but you can't have the laser suppressor and barrel modification all at once.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't be able to have the laser on there too.
But I'm pretty sure they do have a combi sight which has holographic and a flip down.
Yes, but that still classes only the one sight, and that's only in the newer game, and even then it wouldn't look
I tell you what
quite
has
like
become-
that, 'cause there isn't one that's an EOTech and ACOG.
What's common thanks to Call of Duty is the side mounted friggin' holographic sight.
Yes.
And that's a lot of people a lot of military trying to use it and getting bulk for it.
I don't know why, like, it does technically work, it's a bit fiddly.
Yeah.
Like, it's doable, but it's a little fiddly to get right.
Anyway, I think for the last 10 minutes we'll probably do some like funny memes or something. See us out?
Nah.
No?
Nah.
So we'll end it there, do we?
Yeah, fuck it, it's already tomorrow.
Yeah.
Like, it's after midnight, what as well. So when are we back? When are we doing another? Sunday?
Sunday probably.
Sunday
yeah.
works. Fuck it, right. We'll see you all on Sunday. Usual time, about 8:30, 9 o'clock-ish.
I don't know what we're doing Sunday.
Neither do I. We'll figure it out closer to the day.
So yep, good night, good luck.
Yeah, thank you for joining us, and we'll catch you all on the next one.
thrive, yeah. I think that we've all had enough. Keeps you up at night, yeah. Make all the demons quiet, yeah. We were built to thrive, yeah. I think that we've all had enough, yeah. I think that we've all had enough. Sick of dealing with the old plan. They know that we're calling them wrong. You got me like, oh yeah. I think that we've all had enough. Sick of dealing with the old plan. They know that we're calling them wrong. It's too late to try to go contain it. A generation fueled by creation. We live lives on a small screen nation. We control the airwaves, no negotiation. I refuse to think we need saving. Something good will come from creation. And when we think that the world is too anxious, we'll adapt, evolve, survive, and save it. What keeps you up at night, yeah. Make all the demons quiet, yeah. We were built to thrive, yeah. I think that we've all had enough. Keeps you up at night, yeah. Make all the demons quiet, yeah. We were built to thrive, yeah.